Well, I got 6:31, so. Regular August 8th meeting of the 2023 of the Town of Rutland Planning Board. We haven't been doing lately, they just want to post this still.
Oh, the Zoom thing?
Yeah.
Did you print out minutes?
Posting
Yeah,
in
they're in your
the YouTube
packet.
channel and broadcast on the cable channel.
It should be in the packet. There are a couple down.
What packet?
The one at the public safety building that I left last week.
I didn't see anything in my emails about it. All right, I'll go and get it. Take it off from there.
Yeah, we got one. Yeah, I got mine too.
I printed out and didn't get a chance to get over there.
Well, Dick, I wonder, part of the packet that I sent in the email included the stormwater report. I wonder if it was the file size was so large that you didn't get the email.
It was
I think that might
28
have been what
meg.
happened, cause I did send it out on Thursday.
Right.
Okay,
Let's come and see it for a moment.
so we have 2 sets of minutes to approve.
Oh, yeah, do that Zoom thing?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Minutes from July 11th.
I didn't have anything.
Yeah, it looked okay to me.
Make a motion to approve July 11th, 2023.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Aye, sorry.
And.
Yes.
Thank you.
How's everything going?
Do we ever get any feedback? Because I haven't seen anything for that street name change request, or is that just an automatic that goes to the clerk and they just do it?
So I sent a memo to the town clerk, the assessor, and the treasurer collector. I
Okay.
was told that was the process once the board approves it.
Oh, okay, and then they just change it?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks. I wasn't sure of the process. Thanks.
Question, comments?
Suspended yesterday. Poor chap. Is he still working?
Accept the minutes of July 25th, 2023.
Second?
Nice.
Is there any discussion?
You got that?
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, let's see.
No A&Rs.
No A&R.
This hammer. This little tiny.
The 30 Hilltop Estate.
This is a small hammer.
Was hot off the presses. Report from engineering. Jim?
I'll take it over. All right, this is a continuation of the hearing for Hilltop Estates subdivision. We were waiting for some feedback from Quinn Engineering on the report. We have that. So I guess the best thing to do is go through that. Any questions? Okay.
I guess these
It goes through the waivers, but not all of them have responses.
I do find something very, very interesting. Just below the third bullet, on page 1. That next sentence.
Oh.
Wrong board, guys, sorry.
That is a deduct in the invoice?
I'd like to say that was the worst thing I've done all week, but.
Okay.
Yeah, no. All right, so I guess the best way to do is step through the Quinn report based upon the July 28th letter. If I'm not mistaken, Kevin, the 28th was sent to you from New England Environmental Design?
Yes.
And you responded to that with this letter on August 8th, correct?
Yep.
Let's step through it.
Mr. Chairman, can I just say something first?
Yes, sir.
I have to leave at 5 minutes to 7. Julian's taking over I got a meeting at home, so.
Okay.
I can't be in 2 places at once, so Julian's is here, but I just didn't want you to think if I got up and left that you.
No, the only thing that I want to say about the hearing, which I'll preempt before we go in here, is that I think before we close this, and I'll get the board's opinion, I really want to see an HOA. So we can have something instead of closing it and not having an HOA in hand. I don't know, board's opinion on that?
I think,
I thought we were supposed to have that.
you can just put it in a condition that, before.
I just want to get the board's thoughts, because this is gonna be an HOA with some teeth, not our typical HOA that, it just basically says, you gotta take care of it. This is there'll be,
$25,000 fine if not
yeah,
followed.
there'll be, I use the word only because it's my term, liquidated damages for not paying the HOA and not being involved in the road and any type of work that needs done, so.
These type of HOAs, if I could just cut in for a second.
Sure.
What they do is just like a condo association. If you don't pay your HOA fee, then that fee goes before the bank on the title. And the condo association or the HOA, and you guys could probably back me up on
Is
this.
this like a mechanic's lien?
It's a lien. If you don't
Okay.
pay that, that's how condos became, in the old days, people would just walk away from the condos and they never paid or they just never paid their fees and they had nothing to come back on. Now, it works differently. With this HOA, because it's a private road,
Yeah.
there's a fee involved. If they don't pay the fee, they lose their house to the condo association or the homeowner association, and the bank gets screwed. So what happens is, whatever the fee is, goes on their mortgage. And usually the
So there's
bank
recoveries for
bank
anything?
pays it so that they don't end up, it's just like real estate taxes. Real estate
Okay.
taxes, same
And that-
thing.
And that's, Kevin, what we were talking about, so if they do have to repair the road in 7 or 10 years, there's money there to repair that road.
Oh, yeah, and the fees are set up
Okay.
ahead of time and stuff like that.
That's what we were looking for, but we've never done that in Rutland before,
You did.
We
Believe it
did.
or not, you did it at Glenwood Place.
did we?
Yes. Yep.
Looking at that.
That was a private.
It's a private
Oh,
road, though.
That's why it should have been done down there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it was.
I came
All
to
right.
try to get that removed, and the select board would not hear of it.
If the board's okay with that, I'm fine with adding it as a condition. I just wasn't sure if we wanted to close the hearing before we got that to us and in front of KP to see what their comments are. I mean, we've closed it before and got the HOA after. I'm just looking for an opinion.
If the condition said work cannot begin until approval of the HOA, then
I'm
that would
fine.
that would be better than,
I'm good with
Yeah,
that if that's, okay. All right. Sorry, I just wanted,
No,
I
that's
know you had to
fine.
go and I
No, I
wanted to make sure you were
Yep.
aware of what we were doing because that's a big one.
Just a question, say you didn't pay your HOA, is that only when you go to sell your house, or does everyone gang up on you in the name?
no, they gang up on you.
Yeah. And they,
Yeah, yeah, that's the way they work, and that's the only way that makes condos work, because the association can't get in trouble. They'll take the house and sell it, or the condo and sell it before they
so
have
you
to.
could be living in your house and they could sell it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't pay your condo fees, and the bank is the one who gets screwed, because they
Yeah.
come before the bank.
They have to go to land court, Clea, for that, or?
It's just.
Okay.
It's
just
to have an
curiosity.
auction, yeah, it's just usually just an auction,
Yeah.
But it
All
never
right.
comes to that, because the bank pays it, because it goes before the bank.
And they just tack it on to the fees of the mortgage of the, okay.
Yep.
Kevin, does that sound like something that's doable? Have you seen that before in Paxton or surrounding communities?
I have,
Or
but
Leicester.
it's not something we
Leicester.
normally
Leicester.
review.
Leicester, in Leicester.
It's not something we normally review. I mean, I would
Okay.
think council would.
Yeah,
I can tell you what
KP
I
would do
think,
that.
But my opinion is not.
No, it's curious more if you saw it, because KP's gotta give us the official opinion.
I mean, if you do it condominium style, like Clay said, that's, condominium, HOAs have, a lot of.
Teeth in them and.
Teeth, yeah.
Okay, all right, good. All right, enough said. Let's start walking through the comments that came back from Quinn. So the waiver requests, it says request waivers identified below. We will comment on waivers as requested by the planning board. The first one was the 25-foot. Did we not go through these if I'm not mistaken?
We did.
We went through them all.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. We didn't have any issues with these waivers. Is that correct, Kevin? We worked them all out?
I think so, yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, we got the grade taken care of because the grade was 10% and it got reduced to 8.
Just the opposite, it was like 12 and it got reduced to 10.
Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, our requirements is 8, so.
Right.
And we didn't wanna go down to 8 because that would have a steep runoff of the properties into the.
Greater
Yeah,
excavation.
we'd have sheets instead of just drainage. Okay, wave sidewalks, we talked about that, bank run, security bars, that's a standard one.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
Now, requirement for 18-inch bank run gravel plus 6-inch selected gravel to permit a total depth of 12. 12 of bank run gravel or a select gravel?
It's called dense grade. It has 1.5 inch stones, right, Kevin? That would, that's, so in Holden, that's their reg. It's 12 inches of dense grade.
And then 6 on
stone.
top of that for a
No,
total.
it's 12, period. What happens is here, they let you use a 6-inch bone and everything from up to 18 inches and that, or up to 12 inches and then 6 inches on top of that has to be a select grade, which is, I think it's
It's
even
a
got,
finer.
it's even got a
It's
smaller
finer.
stone, yeah.
Right, so it's easy to grade.
Yeah, so that's the way your roads are set up today, but we talked about that waiver,
Yeah,
Yeah, you
and,
did.
and Kevin,
Just
you
wanted to make sure that it wasn't bank run because you
Yeah.
get bigger rocks.
too big of the
and-
bones,
Yeah.
yeah. You can't grade.
okay,
And that's a sturdy road for these people to have and maintain.
correct, because we asked Kevin if that was something that was atypical or typical of roads today, and R18 is an atypical design.
Yeah, 12 inches is fairly standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we had waiver of security bars and outfalls of culverts. We basically, if we ever get to our subdivision reg upgrades, I'm sure that'll be removed, because we waive it every time that I know of. I'm pretty sure the board's waived that. Head walls at the ends of culverts, I think we fixed that by using concrete instead of the head walls, if I'm not mistaken.
Flared in.
Blared, yep. Waive curbs for country drainage in some areas of the roadway. We only said country drainage was it's in the drawings, I found it, yeah, on the tops, yeah, okay, or in the middles, I should say. Street lights, I disagree with that, but that's okay. Street trees, we said we would waive that. And cul-de-sacs plantings, that's the middle one that we basically have eliminated in most of our subdivisions lately, including Brice Lemon. I think we eliminated that. You'll be coming to Noble Hill to ask to update that, I'm positive of. All right, let's get into the regs. There's no further comment. It says a country drainage system is proposed. Not meet the criteria. The office defers to board if the proposed country drainage system may be approved. Does not object to use here, and I think, Kevin, you told us as long as they do it in the flats,
Yeah.
you were comfortable with that design?
It's not a good idea on the steeper sections of road, and your regulation says 5%.
And if I looked at the drawings, that's the way it was set up.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions, comments on that? All right, let's move on. Proposed roadway pavement is 18 feet wide. This is consistent with residential access. which is intended to serve no more than 20 homes. I think we didn't have any other comments on that when we went through it last time. All right. The locus map has been revised to depict the surrounding properties, including land of applicants. I think that was resolved with the latest drawings, Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, when I
Yes.
looked at it.
That's correct.
The plan of land is included a set plan, and I think if I'm not mistaken, there was a drawing missing, and you guys added that.
Yes.
Yep, I went through this. It's like drawing sheet 2 or something like that. Yep, okay. All right, the board may require a traffic study. I was gonna put that out there, there was no further comment. I was gonna see what the opinion was on Brintnal. I don't see the need, because this has less houses than what Brice Lemon was and what Grizzly. But I'll leave it up to the board if they think a traffic study is necessary.
What's that usually entail, I guess? Say
trips
for,
a day,
say for
or
Grizzly or
yeah, same
per
amount
house,
once
people
allowed,
come
so-
and go 5 times or something.
They'll put the boxes out there to see how much traffic goes by, and then they'll do a report. You did that for also for the marijuana distribution facility, you did a traffic study.
It's usually sounds like it's before anything's built.
Correct, and they're
Capture
looking,
what's in the
it's
area
site
already.
view, amount of traffic,
For us, we're not heavy flow.
correct. If this was 56 and we were putting the 200 or 300 or 400 subdivision on there, I say it might be useful, but for this, Kevin, you see any objection to?
No, I don't. I think for development this small, I don't see
Okay.
it being useful.
That's what okay. Number 6, it's understood that the June 15, 2020 meeting, the applicant agreed in principles. This was the discussion we had about the material up and down the road, which was consistent with the orders of condition from the special permit for the state lots. Thanks. I'm having-
Agreed to that, yeah.
Yep, okay, so that's there. Erosion control, sheet 8 of 8. Blankets have been identified, so you consider that resolved, okay. Legal counsel's commented on the proposed lot configuration. I think, didn't we decide on 8 that they commented on it, but we thought this was the best design possible, as opposed to having a bunch of 1,000-foot roads, or I should say driveways? Okay,
I noticed lot 5, it's kinda got like, lives here, he's got land like over here. He's got no other way to get to it, I guess. I mean, not that it'd be convenient to have a extra driveway or something, but I think, and it goes behind a bunch of houses too.
I'm,
I'll try to find it.
no, it's on sheet 2, you can see a lot 5, comes off the cul-de-sac with a driveway that goes
It's got
all
the
the,
biggest acreage, I guess, yeah.
it's tucked in the back.
But say if they wanted to like, not that this is a big deal.
Oh, you mean come on from Brintnal?
Yeah.
Go around that zigzag?
That would be
You would
way
not
too
do that.
expensive.
No,
Trust me.
even like if person just like owns ATVs or something, you know.
They can do what
They
they
can
want.
do what
It's
they
their
want.
land, once they
Right.
buy it, they
Yeah.
can do that,
So
but
the access to the lot, yeah.
that's how the lot gets approved,
Yeah,
because of that 50-foot strip on the fronts on the road.
yeah.
That came from the estate lot.
Alright.
Okay.
Keith, anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
Just so we
Going
you
through
wanted
Quinn.
2 places to hang out, you know,
You could.
2 lots, you could go
land.
mess around, yeah.
Stormwater management, sorry, get back here. So that was 8. Let's go to 9. There's no further comment, this is a stormwater management. This is where 9, 10, and 11, Kevin, where I need your help. This is not my forte, so.
Critical area is in stormwater management, a drinking water supply is a critical area, so they hold you to higher standards. They've designed the quarters.
Okay.
It's kind of a heads up in the review that it is a critical area.
And then the detention ponds that we had questions on earlier, that's all been resolved, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken.
Yep.
And the hydro calculations have been updated and you're satisfied with them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That was my tough spot. Then the next one, is no further comment about the HOA. Again, we discussed that earlier. I'm fine with that as long as we understand that we can conditionally approve this, but the HOA has to be the final document, because if I'm not mistaken, that's gotta be recorded with the Worcester Register of Deeds, which would be part of our final decision. Resolved 13 and 14, which is, the cuts, has been revised to provide a crown. We talked about that earlier with gutter lines. 14 resolved, driveways of lots 1, 2, and 3 have been revised to include culverts to convey the swale flow beneath them. That's part of the stormwater plan, Julian, okay, good.
Intertwined.
Okay, I'm fine with that. No, it recommended the applicant coordinate DPW and wastewater to consult, potential sewer extension. To the existing pump, there was no further comment. I was gonna ask about that, was the one thing I read that I needed to understand.
If I could, I can
Go
tell
ahead.
you. So we went over that at length with Joe.
Okay,
And Carl, before he left, commented on locations of manholes and things like that.
Okay.
Joe just said, alls I want is an easement.
correct, up the center of the road
It's
so we get
private.
access.
He said, I want an easement so
So
I
you
can
can-
have access, but he said, I'm fine with everything else.
All right, so,
But he's not here to come.
but I remember him and I's discussion pretty well, cause I asked him a lot about that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing he wanted was an easement, because he was gonna ask for easements on those driveways. If they
Right.
were gonna be that way, because he wanted to have access just in case on a 1,000-foot driveway. Okay, so I didn't, that's the one thing, when I looked through the drawings, and maybe this comes as part of the deeds, but I didn't see any easement assignments on here. Was I missing it, or how does?
The whole road is an
We're gonna
easement.
give him an easement for that.
The whole shape of that roadway is all an easement for utilities, sewer, water, access to all the lots.
And that's that comment on sheet 4 that says, it says driveway and utility easement, but I don't see that on the Hilltop private road anywhere. Am I missing it?
It's the way, it's what happens. It's just automatically, we give an easement for that.
Okay.
Everybody has to have rights to get to that, to use it,
Right.
so it's just part of the.
I'm gonna ask because I'm an electrical and not a civil. How does somebody remember that? Where is that recorded at?
When you record the plan, it's done.
And when you cut the deeds off, the only way to get to these lots will be through that, so the lawyers will make sure that there's an easement over this described, this piece right in here. The bearings and distances go all the way around that. So each lot will describe that as
Okay.
giving them rights to it. And that's for utilities, driveway, pass, repass,
Residence access.
And what
residence access, everything.
And what happens is, on the street, until the town gets the easement, we have to reserve what's called the fee in the street when we deed it out, because it fronts on the street.
Yep.
But you get to the center of the road, you own to the center of the street, no matter what you do. So we have to reserve the fee in the street when we close on the house, so that we can then give an easement to everybody, so that.
Oh, that's what happened on Brice Lemon when they didn't take the road and we messed up that year. They still owned all the way to the center of the road until that road was.
Because we kept an easement, they
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
didn't, but they would've.
Okay. All right, understood. I just wanted to make sure somewhere there was some way to document that that had an easement for utilities.
It's all done with the plan.
I had a question too, so it's all underground electrical, you can say if one neighbor has to like dig into the road, does the
Okay.
HOA cover like patching that, or how does that? I know
That is up to the, actually, if it's something to do with the utility, they still gotta go, even though it's a private road, I think they still have to talk to the town before they mess with that utility. But even if they don't,
Oh, good question.
yeah, they can, anybody can dig in the road with permission of the HOA, and then they can,
Bring it back to where
they
they,
have to bring it back to.
what it was.
Yeah. Skim coat.
Yeah, but there's no town control over that. That's what's giving me a little bit of a worry right now.
Right, no town control.
I'm dealing with DOT right now, and I'm not having a good day of dealing with reparations work of asphalt roads on 146. Is that something, Kevin, anybody on the board we should have in the HOA about any type of work done on the private road of they need to work?
They could put language in there that would, you know, like a lot of times easements will say, say a community, let's say the DPW has to dig in an easement.
Yeah,
If it's in somebody's yard, the DPW will fill that hole back in but not restore it. In this case, you'd probably wanna have the.
restoration services is part of the,
Restoration's part of it, but that would be something, my opinion, just as an outsider, is that, the homeowners, that's something they should be looking at. I mean, it's up to them to figure that out.
is that something, and again, I don't have a lot of experience with HOAs, is that something, if we gave them a good basic HOA with work, that they can manage themselves?
They would have to, yeah.
Because I don't want the town getting involved in this, cause this is a private
It's
road.
out, right,
Town shouldn't be involved in this at all, but,
yeah.
okay, I'm fine with that. I've been party to two, I'm dealing with it now in Northborough with restoration services with somebody on property, and the deed for the road is not rods, it's rocks. And the rock is defined as this big, and they're measuring from the center of the road, so many rocks over to the wall. Yeah, it's, I'm enjoying that right now, trust me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Never heard of
Yeah, I had neither had our legal or attorneys.
That's real.
They're
Horses and
learning.
buggies used to travel over that road.
That's real.
The DPW chief in Northborough, Scott's having a,
Rods, not rocks.
all right, let's get back to this. So we've got that resolved. The next one's a sewer installation to affect a property on 55 Brintnal. The work must not encroach onto the property, otherwise affect property without the owner's permission or an easement. Understood. Comments? If I'm not mistaken, is there anybody on from 55 Brintnal? Nope, okay. All right. Kevin, is that, I think if I remember right, that was directly across where,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
okay. No further comment. And it says authorization an additional easement must be provided for work proposed on the property at 45 Brintnal Drive. I guess,
That's next door.
yeah,
That's George Jones's house.
Yes,
yeah.
I think he might have already given me
yeah,
that.
you may have.
I think he did, actually, yeah.
You may have.
Is this, let me ask the board, are some of these, I'm seeing as potential orders of condition to make sure that they're taken care of?
Conditions of approval.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I'm talking Concon, sorry.
Hanging on the Concom too much.
Yeah, that's a true statement. Does that make sense to the board?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that, let's keep going.
Tim, excuse me if I may, can you just specify which conditions you're talking about so that I know?
It's 16 and 17 in the general comments.
Okay.
I just don't wanna say them yet, cause that'll come after we approve it, where somebody's gotta sit down and come up with the conditions, which I think that's another discussion that we need to have.
Yeah,
I'm just circling stuff for future discussions is the only thing that I wanted to bring up and see if the board had any other opinions. All right, let's see, stormwater basins, this is number 18, do not have fences, I think we've talked about that, the board may want to consider requiring installation of fences for safety or liability.
I think only when they do Long Pond will we do.
That's what I remember. And so the last one is, we have no remaining comments, which further response from the applicant. Do not hesitate to call or make me come in and stay till 9 o'clock. So I guess I will, before I go out to the public, I will ask the board if they have any comments, questions, or anything else with the Quinn report. Anybody on the board?
No.
Okay.
Talked it through, I guess.
Yep. And I'm confident Kevin, I looked through what Julian had sent on the 8th, and you'd covered all of the points and pieces, so I'm fine with that. So the next stop is I will go out and see if anybody in the public has any comments about this report or anything we discussed. I'm taking that as a no.
Do you wanna check what the dog wants to say? It's a tough
Quite
one.
happy. Okay.
He's all for it.
Peter, can you hear me now? Do you have any hands up or anything like that? Nope, that's a big no, okay. Well, the Quinn report was the last thing that, on this, Hilltop Estates that we were trying to resolve. So I guess I'll ask the board, is there anything else they want to discuss with the plan, the estate, comments? I think we worked the waivers out, which I think was a good solution. We got the biggest thing was my concern when we had this with Marilyn was on the board was the stormwater management that wasn't complete. They went and did all of that. They got the culvert squared away. We've got a little bit of green space on the flats with the drainage.
Now, do they have to go back because of all the rain that we got? Now the 100-year floodplain is different.
Well, you can definitely see that
Handle, actually. Oh.
yeah.
We'll see.
So I guess I will ask the board, I mean, the next step is to close the hearing and vote on the subdivision. So I guess I don't wanna close the hearing before everyone's had a point to speak.
Yeah, I guess one more thing, just, that gentleman had his well across the street, that's all figured out.
That's all figured out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, cause that was on the border for my
Right, yeah, it's like a-
That's all figured, well, that's
And
all
then
they
there's
get.
like, just cause I've never seen that stuff in use or, so it's like, and it's only the roadway water is the only water getting
That's
into
it.
that, yeah.
And it's treated, actually, it's all gone through the whole system before it discharges,
Yeah,
so.
that hydro, that device or something
Yeah.
that's in the report,
Retention,
yeah. And then, it's slow flow, it's not gonna like, or does it just go out at whatever speed?
No, it's
gravity's
all
going?
controlled to
Okay.
not create any issues
Yeah, okay.
through the size of the pipe, the slope of the pipe.
If I'm not
and the
mistaken, that's
riprap.
part of the report from the stormwater report, that there's a certain,
That's what
state requires.
The hydrologic design requires that they show that the post-development runoff rates aren't any faster than the pre-development, so they have to.
that's
do
what you're
it now.
looking for, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
yeah, that sounds cool. Just good
Okay.
to know.
I'll ask again, anything? I guess I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing at 7:04.
And we'll second that.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Then I will take a vote to see if we can close the hearing.
Aye.
Got one,
Aye.
Abstain.
Stay.
got 3 ayes and 2 abstentions. Motion passes.
That was easy.
It's closed. Now, there's the next step of, do we want to approve it? Do we want to approve it with conditions? What do we want to do? Or conditionally approve it? How do I want to?
After KP Law looks at it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you word it.
So what I'm trying to think of how to do this, of approval of the subdivision on contingency of orders, with contingency of conditions being finalized and ratified, or ratified, finalized, I don't care which, as part of the final decision.
you don't need to include specifically, legal review of the HOA. That could be a condition.
Yes, yeah.
May I make a suggestion? Just a little bit more condensed perhaps, a motion to approve the definitive subdivision, with standard conditions and additional conditions as discussed.
I'm fine with that.
Is that okay?
Sounds good.
That's probably what I should have said.
She read your mind.
That's why she's the boss and I'm just a, what do they got that little glass? I'm the furry overlord for cats.
There you go.
She is.
She's. I'm fine with that. The key is I don't wanna release these signatures until we've got the orders of conditions finalized. Why do I keep saying it? Conditions of approval. Damn, Pete's got me trained. Conditions of approval and also the HOA blessed off by KP. And that might be some time to go back and forth. All right, that would be, I need a second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I guess I'd make the motion.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll second.
I'll ask, any discussion? Any public comments before?
There's no more comments.
That's right, I forgot we closed the hearing, done. Yeah. So I'll take a vote for approval of the definitive plan for the subdivision. I got aye for me, Dick,
Aye.
Keith, Kevin. I vote, we got 3 yeses and an abstention, and this is just a majority, so Hilltop Estates is approved with conditions to follow.
Thank you very much.
I don't know how that's gonna happen when you talk to Clea, we've gotta figure that out. We might hire a certain Paxton engineer to assist us with that on a conditional basis.
I'll let you know if I know him.
Yeah, cause we don't have a planner, and from my understanding, we don't even have one in interview mode, so we're,
If I may, I'm happy to give it a shot, cause I already wrote a certificate of action for Forest Hills, so
There we
I'm happy
go.
to draft it and then provide it to the
There you
board
go.
for review,
okay.
Very cool.
just to keep it moving.
Okay, I'm good with that, to make it thanks. All right. I'm, with that being said, is there anything else on Hilltop? Cause I'm more than happy to pass off and get out of this role.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So moved, you're out.
Thanks.
It was only 2 years.
Norm, the party's yours again.
Okay, Noble Hill. I am a little bit curious, first of all,
See if I can answer.
does this thing from Clea,
Yeah.
Noble is spelled Nobel. Which is it, Nobel or BLE?
It's L-E, B-L-E.
It's-
It's B-L-E on the documents, I think it was just an accident,
It's a typo,
yeah.
cause down later it says Nobel. No, it says, oh, down there further it says Noble Hill too. I know it from the drawings as Nobel,
I believe so.
cause there's no Peace Prize happening.
I
So,
know that DCR, Alan will probably be looking at this meeting tonight about it. I had asked him to look it over and stay on top of it as much as possible. I feel that, the map or the thing that he sent back, it showed that, you know, the roadway going in and it was within the thing. And it's out of my jurisdiction, it's more in theirs or somebody else's, and I just want,
Some input.
yeah, input and also in the future, boy, I like to, you know, it would be nice if we had a learning curve here, maybe DEP and DCR come in and talk about this in case somebody else comes in with this, whose jurisdictions it is and everything else. I know of Concom, but still, when they come bring stuff before us, I want it to be right. I don't wanna, you know, second guess.
it'd be nice to know more, but
Yes,
I don't know.
Is-
The more I'm hearing about it, it is more complicated than,
It gets that.
it is that, but there again, I mean, I just soon see it.
Yeah.
The newer generation here, you know, have some idea about that.
and through the chair, Norm, I've got the question of,
Land taking.
I read all this and I thought it was great. I think it's a great document. But I'm struggling, nowhere in here it tells me that the special permit, when it expired or anything like that. So I don't know, is that somewhere in Dave's files? I think we can find that?
Just first of all, again, for the public record, we have received a communication from Mr. Blair regarding Noble Hill, as we requested, regarding any work that has been done on that particular project.
It was quite some time ago, though, that the work was done, though.
Right, and we're actually we're working on the pump station details right now, because the main pump station, part of Noble Hill, is already built.
Yeah.
And we got another one that's going from the site itself too. And they got new technologies and all that stuff since even 10 years ago, so he wants to get the latest and greatest stuff, so. But the main line is brought towards the site. When they put in going to Shinnecock Hill,
Yeah.
the Noble Hill line is in the ground. And there's a pull box there or a manhole to connect to, so they don't have to go all along Main Street, it's already there. And it goes right into the wet well. So there's no more work on the crossing the road, that's all in place. So there's been a lot of stuff done.
No, I'm fine with that.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, and that's, and I'd mentioned it, Clea, this is what I wanted to see, cause I had nothing before other than a drawing saying that it was done and a permit that I thought had expired, so this information
Pump
is,
station, that's
is what the board, I think, was looking for, to tell us where we're at.
Situation.
But even still.
But I
I'm saying
still
the
need
work-
that permit.
Yeah.
I wanna know when it was expired.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it is, it doesn't say that the applicant can't reapply for it.
Correct.
And the
That's
board
what
could
I'm
grant-
saying. I mean, if it's got a,
That was in last week's pack, this is conditions or, so I don't know if you do the 2 years after that, or, I'm not sure if that's.
This is where I need a planner to tell me that, cause this is October 15th. It was brought in, but this is dated 08, and I know there was extensions and all that, but I'm not an attorney, so.
Just in case you.
If I may, Tim, that was the only document that was on file with the town clerk.
Oh,
So I
boy.
can't speak to any extensions.
So we'll have to go through the file and just look for them?
to the best of my knowledge, I don't remember any extensions.
I don't believe we gave any extension. And I don't,
But the state gave extensions, Duval Patrick in 08 came out with the,
well, yeah.
Urban Extension Act.
yeah, exactly, and then COVID came, there was another extension to that. So,
But did that cover special permits?
yes, it did.
Everything.
Yeah, it was basically all permitting in the state.
All for 40Bs.
Really?
I don't know if the town would have necessarily had a document for that, cause for example, with the COVID tolling, like with Conservation Commission, it automatically extended the expiration date of the orders of conditions, but we didn't actually have like a specific document in the file that stated that. It was just an understanding based on
Yeah.
the calculation. So I don't know that documentation exists. We can look, but it's not on file with the town clerk, so it was nothing that was clocked in.
What do we,
But, you know, that's something that we should have on file.
do we ask? I hate spending money at KP, but we don't have a planner, so what do? Ask them to take this and tie it together with all of the, we gotta have something.
But I think even with those extensions, we're so far past
Oh, yeah.
that at this point.
Well, Clea says in here about something on 2016. There's a sewer moratorium that was put in place. And did that basically extend his special permit? I don't know that. That's where I'm not the DPW person, so did that? I don't know. I mean, I personally don't know. If anybody else does, help me out.
Well,
And Joe's not here, that's the other thing. I don't know if Chris would know this or not. Chris, I think, is the new
Yes, he
DPW
is.
director, if I'm not mistaken, he was
He
appointed.
probably
was
would,
appointed.
he's been here 20+ years, I imagine,
You probably got
an idea.
an idea on it, I would say so,
That would be the person we're gonna have to ask.
yeah.
They have a consultant anyway.
Oh, they got Sampson and,
What's it, Samson?
Weston
They
Sampson.
consultant.
and honestly, they're gonna be a lot less expensive than KP.
I don't know.
I think they're about
I think they.
You gotta be kidding
head and
me.
head.
Yeah.
It's just a consulting service. Hey, you looking for it? I just, like I said, I don't wanna get this thing started and then somebody comes in and does the research and says, hey, special permit's not good, why are you allowing this to happen? And then we've got egg on our face, so. I guess
All
I'm
right.
just, what I'm saying is I want the i's dotted and t's crossed.
Safe to take your time with it, yeah.
Let's pass it on to KP. I mean, Weston Sampson is one thing, but
I think
Should we
maybe, could we
start
do
with
this as
that?
a two-prong approach?
pardon?
I was just gonna say, should we at least start with DPW
Yeah,
and
that's
West
what I was thinking,
Sampson
to make it-
before we move to KP? Cause
Oh.
we may get an answer for less.
I would think to get a full package for KP is ask Chris, what dates will the sewer moratorium in effect? They've gotta know that, they better know that. And if they don't, then our next step is we go to the sewer commissioners, which is the select board.
Yeah.
They better know that. And then,
Let's see.
which Leah's there, right?
Yep.
Leah, is that something you guys keep record of? Maybe she's not on. You,
Sorry, it's Leah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you now.
Sorry. I imagine we have, I don't know off the top of my head, I imagine we have records and I can piece together at least the general time frame, not off the top of my head, but I imagine our office has the specifics because it was all done in meetings, so. But I think it should be at DPW also because I know Joe was integral in coming off of the moratorium.
Doesn't hurt to have a two-prong attack. And then I like Tamika's thought process is once we get that, and then with that, you can give KP, here's the sewer moratorium, which would have extended the special permit. How does that affect the Deval Patrick and that, back in the, from '08, cause this was signed in '08. It's good for 2 years, so October 14th of 2010, it expired. If in that time he extended it and there was a COVID extension, along with a sewer moratorium, we just need to find out in August 8th of 2023, is this thing still valid, or does Mr. Blair or the applicant have to reapply for a special permit? Which, if it's expired, I'm gonna ask the board, is, I think that's a hearing. I think that's starting all over.
I don't know if we can grant an extension after it has expired.
That's what I was thinking, Norm. So,
Cause I know that we did a couple extensions. And well, that's just it. I can remember the attorney came in a long time ago for an extensions and I can't remember, but I thought it was 122. Thought it was on that one.
so this seems
But
pretty.
that one never finished.
This seems pretty cut and
Oh,
dry
what the hell's the
then.
name of it down?
When did the
It
sewer
went over
moratorium come off?
to Pleasantdale.
Leah, do you remember when the sewer moratorium came off?
McAllister.
Oh,
I could have sworn it was that. It might have been another name.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it. I want to say I don't want to misspeak. I thought that it was basically going to sunset at some point. Either we extend it if we didn't extend it, and we did not extend it because all the conditions of going into the moratorium were being addressed. I think. But I would have to go double check the timeline of that.
I
For
think
some
this-
reason, summer of 2020 might be in my head, but that might not be 100% correct. So don't quote me. But just if anybody is looking for a time frame, I would look like 2018 through through all of 2020 for start and end.
Alright.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, I wanna try to get a timeline and see if there's 2 years gap anywhere, and if there is, then this thing's expired. And we should start over from scratch, that's what
I'm reasonably like I was elected on the board first at 2018 and in 2018, and I think that was one of the things that we talked about and was brought forward. I think when Gary was still here is when it started, and then or right when Gary was leaving, and that would have been summer fall of 2018, and then I think that it was set for, and I can't remember if it was 1 year or 2 years. So that's why I would say look from summer of 2018 through all of 2020.
Alright. So, what do you think, Norm? Should we talk to Chris and let him give us a timeline?
Well,
I mean, there's COVID, there's the recession, there's sewer moratorium.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, that could be a decade and a half.
How soon before the next sewer moratorium comes on?
Yeah.
I went to the Holden Planning Board meeting and I'm back.
See, talking about Noble Hill.
Hey, could you bring the planner with you and tell him he's working here on the side?
Sign, seal, closed, good.
Approved?
Yep.
Oh, thank you, guys.
What are you doing, 100?
What?
I'm trying to.
No, I want to Zoom
gonna be
in
a
another
mess
room.
trying to
Do we just ask the applicant to reapply and let's just start this from scratch instead of wasting time and money on this?
Just still, yeah, still saying.
oh, we can ask.
They have
Okay,
questions.
I guess through the chairman, I will make that recommendation.
Say, I wasn't here, so.
I want to approve Noble Hill for you.
I already did that.
Are asking you to reapply for a special permit for Noblesville.
First of all, there's no need for that. If you read what I wrote you today, work commenced. Once work commences, the special permit is locked. You can check with your law firm, you can check with anybody you want. The minute you start work, it's locked. That's why I provided those, and that's why you guys asked for it. There's no need to.
Well, if it's locked, that was good for 2 years and then
No,
it's
it's
not.
done. It's, there's no more need to update it. It doesn't have to be. Once you commence work, it's the same
Why
thing
does
like
it say you
Brice
have to-
Estates.
Why does it say that you have to come back in 2 years,
No. No,
ask for an extension?
on that point, he's right. Once you have commenced work, however, I don't, in what you wrote here, I don't see a date that says when you commence work.
July of 2007. I put it right in the first paragraph. We put.
Good enough. Special permit was approved in '08.
It says 07 on the registry of deeds.
Am I missing something? Special permit approval, Noble Hill, says 1408.
Maybe that was an extension.
I looked,
And here's, it's recorded with the clerk.
I
And here's
looked,
the vote, 4-0. Am I,
online today and it said July 2007 in the recorded document.
oh, boy.
Whatever it was, right after you approved it, I started putting, Dickie was sitting on the Concom then, he gave me my order.
Well, that is still only one, if it's a mistake, it's only a 1 year mistake.
Yeah.
So the 2 year
Yeah,
deadline is still there.
but then we built the pump station. That pump station for Brice,
Part of Noble.
that's part of Noble Hill.
Not 2008,
Yeah, it says November 17, 2008, Sally Hayden.
so
What I read online said July of 2007. I looked it up purposely. It could have been remember it got approved as a conventional and then we changed it to a open space. I think maybe there was a year in between that might have taken place, so I could be wrong on my date.
But with the open space, you had to come back for the special permit. The conventional would have been fine.
But it provided lot count. but work commenced, the special permit is locked, it's done. Work commenced. And I spoke at length with that today with George, and he told me that there's a lot of ways to say work didn't commence, but there's not a lot of ways to say it did, and but these meet that criteria, is what he told me.
We did actually clear out of the room.
The entrance.
Yeah.
And the first, second entrance,
Second entrance down,
past the Hearns.
I was gonna build my own house up there, so I got.
Up on the hill, if I
Yeah,
remember right, yep.
I just decided to put the road in to do it.
All grown in now, but it's there.
We did it.
How many feet?
Oh, Jesus,
Probably-
1,000?
We're that far, but we're in at the entrance coming onto Main Street is there.
And what, and.
And it wasn't, there was a hole there. That was a,
Keith, can I see that?
so.
It's just to make me satisfied, cause I liked everything that was here. So that came on Main Street and came up to the hill.
And the big thing is the pump station, 'cause that pump station would be half its size if it was only for Brice. It was
When you
made
put
to
that-
handle.
But was that on the plans, Noble Hill plans?
There's a phase one, which, has, encompass lots 1 through 11,
Trees.
lot 98 to 101, so total of 15.
They got like a driveway.
Rub and stump,
Outside it was-
strip, construct detention basins, which that hasn't been done. Roadway construction with all phases shall be further restricted to opening, grading, and infrastructure no more than 500 to 600 feet. So you didn't go over 500 to 600, are we correct?
No.
Is there, I remember Julian said there's a, I call it manway box or whatever, out at the road. Is there any infrastructure in that road, piping or electrical?
No, it was just graded.
Graded, okay.
I put the pipe in Main Street from Noble Hill to the pump station though.
Correct, but it's just a box there that could connect in that box to Noble Hill, correct, with another pump station and piping from Noble Hill?
To that.
So think of it as it's basically a T with a stub waiting to go into Noble Hill that goes through, so
No,
you
it's
get,
a separate
it's
line
separate
from
line.
the wet well that goes to Noble Hill. Completely
Okay.
on its own. So it's an empty pipe right now.
Okay.
And when they connect Noble Hill,
Yeah, you were,
it's its own.
you're going down from Main Street up here, down there, it's on the left-hand side, you
On the
put that
left-hand side,
Yeah.
pipe in.
right before the fields of
Correct.
Noble Hill, right before the big curve.
Yeah, but you don't have the pipe, the sewer pipe in the ground to the entrance of Noble Hill.
Not yet.
It's close. It's pretty close, it's the Sharnik.
Yeah,
It's the
I know.
Shonick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Noble is a little ways down
200
from
A
that.
little bit down, but not far. I mean, I put it, it's a lot coming out of the wet well, going across the street and going all the way up with that.
And it's designated specifically for Noble Hill. It's not like a joint pipe, it's specifically for Noble Hill. 6-inch or 4-inch, I forget what size it is. Before it's made.
so that's cleared, that entrance is cleared. Is that a correct
Well-
statement and graded?
Randy Jordan used it for, corn,
Yeah,
Okay.
excuse me.
No, why did he stop doing that?
I don't know, I guess I'll ask the rest of the board, cause I'm struggling with.
That's good hunting.
I read this and I was okay with it, I wanted to make sure the permit, but I didn't read, but that's where I didn't read between the lines that with this, the permit is satisfied and it's off the table.
I thought that's why you asked me for it.
on a different concept. If you look at that special permit,
I was reading through.
we conditioned that special permit to the hilt.
Oh, yeah. This was after, what was that, Bear Hill?
So my one thought is, what do we gain by requiring a new special permit?
To rewrite this?
All that special permit was to allow you to have an open space project.
Yeah.
That's all it was. So
Well, it was,
conventional open space.
there's more phases in here than I think we've ever done on any other
Yeah, 'cause
subdivision.
there's all sorts of roads. They didn't want it all opened up at once.
Thank God, because Bear Hill it was one phase, and that
Yeah.
was a mistake,
Yeah,
bad mistake.
it's expensive,
That was 'cause
maybe
a lot
not.
of people
Yeah.
wanted it.
I mean,
So Mike Sullivan, push it right through, and that was like, not gonna be any houses down there for years.
I mean, it's gonna be up to us. Do we, board, does accept that work being done? I mean, if it's opened up and it's got the road and there's a entrance here, that to me is work
Two
is
entrances,
commenced.
Actually,
You have to, there's no guardrails or anything in the cut or anything, it's.
Well, we don't put those in yet anyway.
no.
No, I know, but,
Oh, do you mean to cross it? There was no guardrails there to get into it?
Yeah.
No, it's all open if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think there is a,
I feel like
Did-
it's a pretty fast road area, there must be.
I think it might be open. There might be a.
No, one side,
One side there's-
there are open, they are turned in.
Well, that's where,
That's where, how they get into the fields.
yeah, to get into the fields.
That's that's one of the roadways. And then the other one is down past, I don't even know if
This
the
one.
Hearns is still there or not, but that's the second entrance was,
Is it gonna be on, Google Maps, you gonna be able to see it, like the land missing and stuff, or?
the brush and was a while. Might be a little grown in, but if you go there, you'll see it was all disturbed and it's
You're driving
filled
or
in.
something, yeah.
See, this is the one that's got me
I
right
think the sewer
here.
pump station is the key. You would never spent an extra 200 grand.
Permits have to be in there.
That's-
Start
If you
construction.
didn't need it.
Have, do we?
Work on the road, that's commenced, I mean, we're building the road.
We don't get them.
No.
That's just saying he has to get them. We don't have to have them.
Clevie, the thing that I'm struggling with on this, it says, all federal, state, and local permits, including, I don't know what NPDES permit.
NIPD's, it's that federal SWIP
Stormwater.
program, it's a stormwater, it's
Okay,
stupid.
shall be acquired prior to construction and adhered to.
Yeah,
That has to be anyway,
So you guys have all of those?
except for the sewer extension.
That permit though is it's not
That's
even
just
a
for-
permit. You just register your site.
Okay, all right, I'm asking, cause I wanna, again, I'm dotting the i's and crossing the t's. Clear cut trees, low line
Julian's
brush.
now a NIPD specialist,
right.
he went to class.
I went
Can't
to,
even spell nifties.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't even know what that means.
So did you clear any lots or is it just the entrance?
we cleared the entrance. So,
Okay.
I mean, we did some cuts and fills, we had to bring in a lot of dirt, there was a big hole,
And is that on the first or second entrance?
second,
Second.
coming from here,
So that's the one down away from Rutland.
where the
that's-
pump station is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Not the one that skirts the wetlands, it's the other one farther down. Okay. I'll leave it up to the board, cause I'm sort of, if it's been cut into it. And like I said, like Norm, you brought this up, this is a damn good, it's probably.
He kicked my ass on that thing.
Yeah. I think we were pretty thorough on this one. This is, that's a special permit that we did for,
Across
that was
from,
like only 500 feet at a time.
the Rutland's.
Yes, it was Norm's deal, but
Yeah, I like that.
the one thing that I wanna know.
And they had to grub it?
Is my thing still in there?
What's that?
It's gonna be that big.
Athletic field,
That
up on the
electric,
top.
Right up.
I don't think that's in there, cause I don't see it in
Maybe the guy
there.
died.
You gotta be kidding me. I made it part of the,
I don't remember seeing. Look at it'd be in probably the end, because it'd be in phase 9.
There might be some language in there reserving some space for recreation.
Usually is.
And not specifically an athletic field.
it was a field. Homeowners Association may apply to the planning board for permission to install a recreation field in the open space.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah,
It was in
that's
there.
not the good side.
Everything's in
Right
there.
on 120.
So therefore, there is
Is
your.
that,
If they get the wrong straightaway, then.
I guess I'll ask the next question, is there an HOA recorded with the registry of deeds for this one?
We don't do that till we
Highest
stop the
point of
roads.
all.
Okay,
Amazing.
That's the way we did it on Brice.
360 degrees.
I'm somewhat satisfied, I mean,
I don't have any problem with that.
rest of the board, curiosity?
Where it makes a big turn, Shanna
I'm just curious, I'm not, just,
Still,
I mean,
I see, yeah, I know, I've seen that.
I think with this, and with opening up the entrance, I'd be satisfied with phase one, but I don't know.
Nothing's built.
It's still, kind of one of these things that it's,
Do we ask KP about this one?
I would, because of the length of time that hasn't been involved in this thing. Yeah.
If I may, it was already sent to KP and that was their response to Dave George last year that I had shared with you. That's why I had looked it up, cause I remembered something happened and I was trying to avoid it.
I still had it.
Yeah, but that was about the rescission, wasn't it, Tamika?
They did speak to the special permit. I don't know if you still have that document handy from a couple meetings ago. Last
This
email.
is why we need a planner.
I think he kinda said there wasn't enough there that he was like,
Yeah,
technically, like, it was kinda open to interpretation, which is probably why we're still talking about it.
First of all, may I speak, Mr. Chairman? Yeah. No, can I say something? So, first of all, what are you gonna gain if I file for another permit, number one? I think, like you said, that thing's pretty productive as it is, number one. Number two, I think I've proven that work had commenced. I mean, a lawyer can tell you whatever you wanna hear. They can make an argument either way. If they say to you, if you say to them, look, does this meet? Well, yeah, it does, and if you assume this, but if you assume this, it doesn't. And, I mean, lawyers are just, they're right in the middle. They try to tell you what you wanna hear, and they can swing it to any way you want. But we've proven that we've actually commenced work over there, and I think I would challenge that if they said that we didn't. I mean, why get into a pissing contest over what? I mean, I hope to start the, but we're filing for the sewer extension permit now, or hopefully soon, and
Very soon.
we wanna get going. I mean, I'm gonna be done in Brice here in another year or so, and now I wanna move across the street there.
do we, since we got the Concom chairman here, do we ask if he's got any? Cause I'm guessing that,
I haven't. I
Yeah.
haven't filed yet,
okay.
but we definitely flagged it
Well,
a couple times.
we filed an NRAD, we had that.
Oh, the
years
NRAD's
ago,
filed, yeah, we
so
we
we've
did
done the
file.
Yeah, but
wetlands
because doesn't the, and again, I apologize, this isn't my knowledge base, but doesn't the Concons, whatever you did for them is only a 2-year thing too? Or
3 year.
3 year? Has that expired?
Yes.
Okay, so that has to be reapplied
We were
for.
working on redoing
Yeah,
that.
we had an NRAD which locked down the wetlands. We did that so we could design the subdivision,
Yeah,
but we didn't come back with an order of conditions or, in 3 years, so that expired.
I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Yes, just a
help.
side question, it's, reason why you guys haven't done anything up there since you put this basic road or basic pipe in is just time and money, it's just something I mean, would you want it to expire, or?
No,
Would you-
there was a sewer moratorium for
Okay, yeah.
over 8 years, I think.
Okay,
The sewer moratorium, I couldn't do it. It was, the site was designed and zoned, at the time, zoning had, because of the lot size, had to be sewer and water.
okay,
And
so that held it up.
when they don't, it held it up.
Yeah,
And that actually extended all zoning. So I couldn't do anything
so
for the
you worked
longest
on
time.
a bunch of stuff, right, yeah.
And then, for a long time, you couldn't sell a house if you tried. So, the state gave permit extensions and everything else during that time. And then you had COVID, you got extensions then. I mean, it's just one thing after the other. Plus, as I said last week, you don't want me to build, 55, 60 houses a year. I mean, right now, I could sell every single thing I have and build it, but, if I did that, it would just put too much
Glutton the town.
too much all at once, and so I'm taking my time to do
Okay.
it right, and that's
I remember
Kinda hope I
Joe
answered your
saying
question
that
there.
Yeah.
the discharge sewer pipe was near capacity. I'd like to know from somebody where, how big, how much, we're supposed to have 36,000 gallons a day set aside for the over 55 at the heights. How much does that fill up the pipe? Is there another
This was
sewer
down
moratorium
on-
coming on?
Does it hurt for us to ask Chris, are we good?
Yeah, no, there's 0.6. Right now, there's 0.6 million gallons a day allowed in the town of Rutland, if I'm not mistaken. After 20 years, I could be mistaken, when they put that new line in, 0.6 million gallons a day. The last time I looked, we were at like 0.38 or something like that. So right now, there's tons of capacity in the pipe. It's just peak flows that concern everybody, and I don't think we come anywhere near that. I mean, I'm just, speaking from experience, but I don't see it.
That's why I like to hear from somebody.
Still, that's not the planning board's jurisdiction.
Yeah,
No, but it's, how do you keep other people abreast of what's going on?
That's the select board, they're the sewer board, they're the sewer commission.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I think, the big question I think that we were trying to get answered is what does constitute work on a subdivision?
Yeah.
Work commencement. And I don't think we'd ever get, even from legal, I don't think we would ever get a straight answer on that.
Well, you could you could say Hilltop started right now because it's been completely cleared from, it's been, what I'm looking for,
Cleared, that's the right
cleared,
word.
yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it, it's cleared.
Clear cut.
Clear cut, thanks, that's what I was looking for, clear cut.
And even, for example, going to this second thing on Clee's letter, just designing sewer pump
Well, and it
to
says,
handle Noble Hill. Well, is that then considered starting work on Noble Hill?
Good question.
And it
Does it
says-
count if it's on property or not?
and part of phase one is install construction entrance, that's what they
Just being
did.
associated with Noble Hill, is that good enough?
According to George, it is,
Obviously.
but again, he's a lawyer, but
Yeah.
according to George, I mean, that is.
He's your lawyer.
He's my lawyer too, but the point is, without that pump station, that handles all the capacity from Noble Hill. How do you say it isn't part of it? It is. It's part of Brice, but it's part of Noble Hill too.
It's bigger than it needs to be.
It-
Because of Noble Hill.
Yeah, and I mean, I spent almost $500,000 building the thing because I had to build it twice as big as I should have.
I don't know, through the chair, I'm 70% convinced, cause there's install construction entrance, that's done. Clear lot one for equipment and wood chips, it's being able to get into it right now, so. Trees are cut and cleared in low-lying brush within the roadway of coming into that. That's done, so 1 and 2,
But that was for your road though, wasn't it?
It was right on,
It's on the
Same
road though,
spot.
I made it the same spot, so I,
same spot, so that it wasn't doing two things.
But I thought the first one was where you went into the field that.
First one's been there for a while, and we've used that for the same purpose. And that's still open and traveled. And the second one there, Pastor Hearns, was
Yes.
created so that,
Oh, I remember
because there was a
that.
big hole there,
Yep.
and that got filled in and ready to roll when they get to the next step.
somebody help me.
The biggest is the
You know
pump
what you could do?
station.
I was just gonna say, maybe we just do a site walk and see what this looks like 15 years.
That's not a bad idea. What do you think? I think that's a great idea, actually, just to make us warm and fuzzy.
anytime.
Give us the tour.
You could just direct Clea to address this. What date did construction begin, what constituted construction?
You know,
How does that
Well,
stack
this
up
is,
in relation?
yeah,
to
this,
the permit?
you somewhat do that, but, I mean, George had to do a timeline, cause I know lawyers, they go from A to B, they just don't,
Well, he asked me times, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
tough.
It's just partial list.
I like what Kevin says with the site walk, just to get a warm and fuzzy, what's been opened up, what's been done. And if we see that, you know, it's over 500 feet, we'll get out the bullwhip and take care of that, but,
Well, no,
that's beyond the phase
Your point
one.
is that it's all grown in back
Yeah.
in now. It's crazy. It's been what, almost 15 years since I did the work, but it's still commenced.
That much.
Yeah, and the pump station I just did in 2016. I think you just have to make up your mind as to whether you're gonna accept it or not. I mean, I just don't, I don't see what you gain by saying, cause I mean, I have to challenge you. I'd have to challenge it. I'm not, I mean, I just think it would be, I believe that I've commenced and I believe that I've shown proof of that. So I guess it's just up to the board. I mean, I don't wanna file for another special permit. I think it's a waste of time.
To your point, Norm, I mean, this be a Xerox, what we're doing, all we'd be doing is open up a hearing for people to come in and discuss it, but I would use this as the template and say, we're done.
I mean, what would we change? Yeah.
Nothing, this thing was
What
so,
are we gaining?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
I
only a
mean-
little copy and paste there,
It-
but yeah, each.
This is the most
section.
detailed special
Ever
permit
seen.
that we've ever done.
Okay. Well, yeah, it looks
In
like
my,
a
at
big
least in my
project.
tour duty, I mean, you guys might have done something earlier, but we never had this many phases on a subdivision this big. Brice didn't have that, it only had 5. And this has got almost twice that, it's got 9, so it's almost got 10.
How long do these phases plan on lasting once commencement starts on the? My question is to just fast forward is what happens if 4 other subdivisions in the town all come into play within the same time frame that we're doing this? How many houses can we potentially put in? Phase 2 here could coincide with phase 1 of development on 68 that we have yet to see. My biggest fear is that 15 years ago, our population of this town, when this was approved, is not the same as it is today. And we're jamming in these houses and we just had an override. We can't afford the houses we have today and now we're approving more houses. Was the growth management plan put into play on this versus today? 15 years is a long time. And you've had almost probably twice the population. I think it's only fair to the town and the people of this town that they understand better what's happening here and how many more houses and the impact that this is gonna directly have on our main streets.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this, and you don't have this, Kevin, if you wanna look at it, it looks like these phases are no more than 10 houses per phase.
We could make it, because of the steepness of the hill, I believe, is the number of houses that could be built at a time.
Does that coincide with other houses in the town at that time, or it's just this one
It just-
development?
This was this one development because of the steepness.
Cause we got caught with Bear Hill, cause Bear Hill at the time was in state remediation because
Potential fines of.
they opened it all up, cut everything down, and it slid into the pond.
Right, my fear isn't the detriment to the land, it's the detriment to the impact of the amount of houses we're allowing to be built in here, with or without a moratorium, be it sewer or water or whatever else. If we're 10 phase and then there's 15 other 10 phases, then now all of a sudden we're allowing for
You have
100.
no control over that.
I think we should have some control over that.
Well,
But-
we can, the
But when-
planning board can, but the town,
Town can, the bylaw subcommittee can, we
Yeah.
removed the growth management committee that doesn't exist anymore. There's a lot of things that we can do, but we
Yeah.
don't.
When this one was approved, Brice Lemon was approved at the same time. Brintnal Estates was approved, if I'm not mistaken. There were 3 subdivisions, and you were talking about Pleasantdale at the same time. That never happened.
Right, McAllister. you mean.
And McAllister, I'm sorry, yeah.
Maple Spring was approved then?
Yes.
Teresa Drive there.
So we had, at the time, Ken, we had like 4 subdivisions, all came in at the same time.
Gary
in that
Johnson's probably
28,
over there, I
28.
can't remember.
Yeah, Milliken Brook.
And then, right after they got approved, the financial community just dropped out. And
Oh.
it basically, none of them got built, but they were approved on the books, and if I'm not mistaken, the only one that got started was Brice Lemon at the time.
Maple Hill.
Maple
But that was
Hill,
2016.
but that was, yeah, but that was over on, that was a small one over on, Main Street, if I'm not mistaken. Or Maple Hill, I'm
I
sorry.
probably would have done more, but they had a moratorium on the sewer.
Yeah.
So you couldn't build anything. All my stuff is on sewer. I couldn't build anything.
But right now with Noble Hill, the only other subdivision that I know of outside of what we just approved today for 15 is Brintnal Estates, and that has 34.
10 of them are on the first phase and they're being built as we speak.
So there's nothing else that I know of in the town, does anybody speak up and tell me I'm wrong, of subdivisions that are approved?
No.
A&Rs we can't control, there's nothing we can do about that.
Well, that's the thing, I think we can, work forward towards controlling A&Rs by having these discussions and dialogues in the bylaw subcommittee and having these discussions at the planning board meetings in regards to changing the bylaws in our A&Rs and our subdivision plans, because they haven't been looked at for decades. So you say we can't, and I disagree with you. We can, but we don't.
We could also
A&Rs
ask for $20,000
be
per
changed.
building permit per house. And that money can then go towards the schools and DPW and whatever.
Yeah,
That's all.
I'm very fearful, and I'm voicing my opinion as an elected official, the amount of lots that we continue to approve and just say, well, let it go, we'll let it go. I think we're doing the same thing right here, and I think that we should look into this deeper, and I think that we should bring the master plan into play, we should reincorporate the managed growth bylaw, the managed growth committee. I think that's important. I think that all of these decisions are being made without enough due diligence as to the impact it has on our town today versus 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. We just had an override based on millions of dollars because we can't fund ourselves, and how many houses is this? 100 and something houses plus the 30 plus of this plus of that. We've been broke for a long time, and this doesn't help us. That's my
I
opinion.
don't know, first of all, I don't agree with that at all.
I know you don't, but
But,
that's my
and second of all, you're talking about something that was approved a long time ago. What they're trying to decide today is whether or not I commenced work or I didn't, because if I commenced work, that special permit's locked. If I didn't commence work, then that special permit could be voided. And I don't.
but the subdivision's not gonna be unapproved.
Subdivision is not unapproved, it's got a mortgage on it, you can't rescind it.
So the same pattern of houses would apply to any new permit or.
That's what the special permit would be referencing, because that plan that you see in front of you is the open space plan. There was a definitive plan that doesn't need a special permit that was put in place before that, and then it was replaced with this open space plan, which required a special permit. And that's why the process was done in '08, to be able to have open space and not fill this full of all the houses back in the open space area. So instead of 190 or 180 houses, it went to 104, and there was open space available for that community.
And that's what you're
It
talking about.
reduced the lot size, he gave it,
Reduce
that
the
was
lot
the.
size, it didn't reduce the amount, the lot size.
Correct. So I
They have smaller lots that are worth less money that bring in less taxes.
No, a lot's a lot, Kev. Especially in a subdivision, they're worth more money. But one thing that this did was we had all those lots along Main Street, remember, all
that
those
were
front lots?
A&Rs, yeah.
And we took them all off, we put them all in the subdivision, so there's nothing, it's like when we did the open space
You
with
did
Central
what I
Tree.
wanted to happen off of Main Street, off of Davis's property.
Oh, yeah.
Put them back and away and leave that open so the town didn't have houses in the front. That didn't happen. It's fine. You did what we were expecting that property to do, to take them off. So that was one of the positives when I was on the board for that was off of the road and away, so people weren't seeing 104 houses right on the front of Main Street. So again, I still think the walk is important. I think we need to walk it.
Yeah, anytime.
I think we should
There's
schedule
a lot of
that.
ticks, and there's a lot of thorns out there. I would
thorns.
wait
I'm not
until,
walking.
if I were
I'm out.
you,
I'll
I'd wait
sit in the
until
car.
like late fall when everything's dead, but that's just me.
Wicked.
We wait until late fall, we lose daylight savings, and we would have to maybe do a weekend,
Yeah,
something like that.
That's true.
We could schedule for our next meeting.
Farmland.
I think it's a good idea. I think we should schedule for our next meeting and walk it.
It's gotta be 30 feet
You wanna
thick
walk the
along
whole site?
walls.
God bless you.
No, we did that last time, and I didn't have enough combat boots for all that water. But I think we should walk it in and see what's been completed, that's my opinion. I don't know what everybody else on the board is.
Started, not completed, started.
Yeah.
No completion here.
Okay.
No completion.
Graded and completed grade, let me rephrase that.
Rough graded.
Rough graded.
Just started, but the pump station's the key.
Yeah,
That pump station would not be that size or have that pipe coming all the way to Sonic Hill and beyond without Noble Hill.
And he can't build or sell one house without that pump station. Cause it's gotta hook up to sewer. And that right there is the first part.
Well, I think we should schedule it. That's
Schedule it for 6:30 at our next meeting.
Yeah, sounds good. The next meeting is what, 22nd? Summer's
Wanna
gone.
move it for 6, so that you could still start the regular meeting at 6:30, or no?
So I can make that 6 on Tuesday. Yeah, I can make that. I don't have, that's the 22nd.
Yes.
Just make sure I'm not any place I shouldn't be. I have a new director, so I have, oh, no, freed up. I can make 6. A
Wait,
director's
is
meeting.
there like a street address on Main Street near there that I can reference for a location for
I
the posting?
Don't know off the top of my head, but I will get that for you
Okay,
tomorrow.
thank you.
Isn't that right by the Grange building?
Yeah, that's the first entrance, it's right at by the Grange, and then the second one is just down a little ways.
Oh, all right, then I can look that up.
I remember that, so, okay.
Okay, are we done with Noble Hill?
I hope so.
So you said it's 6 o'clock? Put it down. We'll guarantee.
Now the next one is the fun one. Okay, notice of intent to sell chapter land, 16 plus or minus acres on Emerald Road. We have the notice of
Thank you,
intent.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Kev.
Yeah, coming. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.
Is the board done with me? You want me to stick around?
Not unless you got a checkbook for 16 acres we can borrow off you, sport.
Here's the only, I do have just a quick
Yep.
question.
Yes.
Have you visited like Brice Lemon?
I have, they binder paved, Lemon Circle,
Yeah.
in the last week.
Because, I don't know, I think it was, last week or so I was over it, and I went through, phase 3, which has the binder coat on, and it looks like there's an awful lot of small crazing. Binder
Take a look.
coat.
I'll take a look. The binder on Lemon Circle looked good. They used, I believe it's a dense graded binder, which is good standard.
So, it might be in my imagination, but
Phase 3.
yeah, that's the part that goes right off of, Main Street.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of what happened at Bear Hill.
Oh, with the breakup of that road?
Yeah.
When Lenny put that in and it collapsed?
No. No, Bear Hill. Bear Hill, Clea had to strip the
Oh,
entire
yeah,
binder coat off.
and put a new one on there. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Where's Bear Hill? I get confused sometimes. The closest road
Bear
to
Hill
it.
goes off of Vista Circle, which is Highlands of Brintnal Farm.
Think if Lenny did the first part of that, and then Clee took over like 2/3 of the way in and did Arrowhead, Grizzly, that back area.
So it's not the name of the road, it's the name of the.
Sort of like the section of that area.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know,
It's because when I hear it, I'm like.
And it comes down and connects to Brintnal Estates.
yeah,
Okay.
and goes over the bridge,
Okay, yep.
the Callahan Bridge. Sorry. Oh, when I saw that, I was so thankful for that when we get to that about that drawing. Cause I went and drove it over there and I go, flat, above ground land, 16 acres, write the check.
Well, if you're all set, I'll leave.
Kevin, thanks for, I
Thank
left the
you.
message, so.
I got the message, and I left one for you.
Thanks, I got it back too, yeah.
Very good. Enjoy it. See ya.
Alrighty, see you guys.
Any new engineer, you still struggling with that too?
Oh, struggling.
Yeah.
Struggling with that, big time.
If
Kinda
you find,
gave up for the time being.
if you find a PE with piping and gas experience, you don't
I'll
wanna
let you
hire
know.
him, please
I'll
let me know.
let you Got everybody scared.
Okay, so what's your pleasure on this? Seems to me we did the first time around send a letter to the select board indicating that interest out of the town.
I still say it's a good interest for the town.
I even wanna go one step further. I think it's not only interest, but there's potential for, in the letter, that updated letter we send them, it has room with 16 acres, since it's high, dry, and tied into Emerald Road. It has potential for recreation fields for the kids, baseball fields, has potential for a DPW storage facility, could be a fire, police south station. It could be a mobile.
What's the composition of the soils? Is it gravel over there? Maybe the town needs sand for their own.
I didn't even think of that one, but
Spreading their own sand.
it's got Emerald Road on it, and I know people had come to me and said Emerald Road's in bad shape. I'm not looking for tomorrow, I'm looking for 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
That's right.
That's what we need to save the land for in Rutland for future use, because we just, and the answer, the other thing that we didn't have last time we talked about this, which I didn't know, is we have $1.3 million sitting in a land bank from RDIC that can be used to purchase land. So,
Plenty of money.
yeah, and my advice, this is 400,000.
I just wanna clarify that the funds in that account are not strictly for land use, it's for any purchase for which you would normally borrow for more than 5 years.
But
So
it said-
can be used for anything.
Why did Ms. Tuttle then say that it was for land use? Am I mistaken?
It can be used to purchase land,
Okay,
but it's for anything that you would borrow for more than 5 years, so it can be used for other purchases.
Uh-oh.
And it
Well,
has
when
to
the
be
heck did
appropriated
that,
at town
you
meeting.
just threw a can.
well, that's why I guess I'm saying to this board, I think we should recommend to the select board that this should be bought while we've got the money, before November comes around and the free-for-all comes for the 1.3 million.
Yeah.
That's my suggestion, and because if this was like Ridge where it's, there's not good access, it's not off, but this is 16 acres and it's a square. Again, this is my opinion, but I think this is something, and I say this all the time, the big guy ain't making no more land, so.
Right.
And for 400,000 for 16 acres, it seems like a good price, cause an acre of land can go upwards, and Clee's not here, for 60 to 100K. So,
Yeah, not just ask or throw you off any. The guy said like 7 houses originally.
oh yeah, did you count it up? 7 is.
I don't see 7 here, I see one.
You see more like 14
Well,
to
yeah.
20?
Do you know that this is nothing but wetlands here? This
Yeah, how
So
did
he
this all
can't-
happen?
There is some wetlands there, but it's unclear what the extent is.
Is this just to pretend there's a possibility? I know you guys said, hey,
Yeah,
draw some
we'd have to,
lines.
I'd call
And this is the line that I wanted to see, so I can see where this 16 acres is. And again, when I was over there, this was high area, it's farmed right now.
Yeah.
And for the town's purposes, or what it could be used for, like I said, I mean, if they ever have to move the, what is that, the regional center, the regional communication center, it's 16 acres, you can get that on there, because if you go down the road in Holden, past the Holden light, and you go down about halfway before you get into Worcester, they've got their regional communication center, or a regional communication center there.
Yeah.
I don't take 16 acres.
No.
So again, I know I'm pushing the board, but I think this is something that the planning board should go back to the select board and say, yes, this should be purchased. We recommend it for future use for, as a planning function.
Yeah.
Yeah, could do anything with it, really.
Yeah.
So,
That's my opinion. I'll shut up and let everybody else talk.
They're not really
Why's
proposing.
Peter got a computer in his lap?
No, that's not a,
That's
that's
not a
not an
real-
approved subdivision.
Yeah, it's never.
They're just drawing for fun.
Yeah, and this is the 23 acres over here that's left over.
37.
37?
Yeah.
I apologize, 37.
Cause it was 60 originally.
Yeah, 57 or,
Maybe they wrote it wrong,
It's 53 acres total.
53.
so it's got 37. So that's my opinion. I think we should send a stronger letter back to select board saying,
So a letter recommending purchase of the property and listing a
solutions.
number of possible uses.
Yeah.
for the property.
Now, are they possibly saying we're still gonna do 7 lots
That's
For
their
housing,
problem.
That's up to them
It's up to them after that.
So,
But the other thing I was gonna say for revenue that this could be used for is, once we get the 16 acres, because it's farmable, you can lease that out until you come up with a solution, what you wanna use it
I
for
believe
for
the
dollars.
open acreage is only 7.
But still, that's revenue coming in
Oh, it is, no doubt.
on a land.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
yeah, it's,
I just think we should put that in there as it's future use for the town, and it has a potential. Dave George taught me this, you can still make money off this thing if you let it set for 20 years by,
yeah, it's like.
leasing it out for farming or,
Because it's being used for corn right now.
yeah,
So, which should,
lease it out, but the town gets the revenue then.
yeah.
Town's bringing the revenue in.
You're not paying for kids to go to school or roads
Correct.
or anything else.
That's it, that's all.
Just money
I
coming
just think we
in
should be really
and going out.
forward
Yeah.
on what we're
Yeah.
telling the select board.
I agree. So moved.
Doesn't happen often too. So.
And if the question of funds comes up, I say we should use we as a town should use part of the RDIC money that was brought in from purchase of land or repurchase other land that can be used for town services or
Yeah.
town in the future. It's my opinion.
And heaven only knows that might be where Norm Anderson had the beginning of his bypass. Ran through, when Rutland got overgrown.
149.
Not quite.
So that's it for me.
It was 49, not 149.
I mean, there's a couple different price ranges, it's official.
400,000 is what she's asking, and we'd have to match that for 61A.
Okay.
Since that is what's being, if I remember the procedure that I've been through so many frickin' times, is that we'd have to match that. Or ask for an appraiser, and I think at this point, I mean, I guess you could, but
I don't think that an appraiser's feasible. I think that the price has already been set by the.
that's what I'd heard too, yeah, so.
I just got one thing that says, and I'm just staring from this far, but it says 200,000.
That's for the 37.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. So it's 4 times per acre for the 16 acres than it is for the remaining 37.
Yeah, she actually sent us both purchase and sale agreements, one for 16, and then the other one was for 37, which was 200,000.
So now we're just talking about the 60 and the 37.
We can't touch that, that's private, it's not in 61A. We couldn't,
But it's still for
How
sale.
mu- how
it
many
is for
acres-
sale, yes,
How many acres are in 61A?
16,
16.
that's what we're purchasing, this land,
Total 16.
yes.
Even though the
Chapter.
open area is only 7 acres.
The chapter land is 16 acres, 37 acres is non-chapter land.
Correct. Okay,
So we're buying 16 acres for 400,000.
yeah.
Which is this square right here, which is what I looked at when I drove out there.
And then do you remember just further down, when I asked, when they put this in? I said, how come it's never been drawn in a map? How do we
Yes.
know what property looks like and everything else? And now they doing it.
Yeah, well, that was gonna be, if we didn't get this in this meeting, I was gonna go through the chair and request the select board send this to the planning before we make a decision. But they did it, so that gave me all the tools for me to make a comment to the board about what we
Well-
need to do.
I still say that you should make a comment to anybody and everybody. This showing of a subdivision here is not right. You can't.
It's not an approved subdivision.
No,
Not approved subdivision, and you can't, chop it up like that and say, hey, this is all that, because we do know that there's a mess of wetlands in the, down.
this should have been
towards, Cool
just one
Sandy.
big picture, Dick, with a little square 16, and then showing Emerald Road and Welch Road over here. And this is what we're getting, all these internal roads,
Yeah.
and I don't really care about that. It's unapproved, it's never come before the planning board. All I wanted to see was
That's
where
why
this was.
when you get an appraisal, that's when the appraisal would come in and say, this thing isn't worth.
And that's why I went down and
$28.
looked, because when I first saw this and I saw it was 400,000 and this was all 200, I'm like, come on, we're getting rooked. But then I looked at all of this ugliness back here and this being primary land, okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because we're getting good dry high land. Good dry highland, what, yeah.
Highland.
Yeah. And so I didn't have a problem with it. In fact, if I could find a way to let the whole town know that this is an opportunity we don't wanna miss, I would figure a way to do it, but
Is the field officially 16 acres, like the tree line right to the end, or there's some much less land being
The
workable?
field itself is what, 7 acres?
7 acres, so there's
7
9 extra
acres, just
acres,
a little
but it's
Yeah.
not wet. It's
Yeah.
still,
So, yeah,
I guess,
curious.
when I saw it was woodsy and, it wasn't cleared, I guess. I'm guessing you clear the 9 acres and probably, farm it, if somebody wants to clear it
The way it odds it was clear,
at one time.
100 and something years ago.
Yeah, that's, my sister-in-law's got property like that, used to be farmland, you follow I call them rock fences, and
Yeah.
there's
That's true, yeah.
8 and 12-inch trees there now that, have spent the last 110, 120 years growing. That's it for me.
Vote on it?
Tamika, you think you have enough fodder to draft the beginnings of a letter?
Yep, I can draft it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the select board, the planning board advises them that this property should be purchased for multiple uses and also can be used for a revenue stream for the town. And that is 16 acres on the Emerald Road,
Second that.
per the purchase and sale agreement that was supplied to the planning board, or put to the planning board.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent.
Okay, onward. Item 6, alternate planning board member discussion. Rich Peter has made himself available here. The bylaw committee, the planning board agreed to allow the bylaw committee to look into.
We're short of planner, so we don't,
We need all the help we can, and alternate and
And so today, the ad hoc bylaw committee wrote its first draft with lots of questions the planning board needs to answer in order to flush it out. But if we back up for a moment, Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9 says that the planning board may write, that zoning bylaw may provide for an associate member to the planning board to act on special permit applications when an extra member, quote unquote, is needed based on absences, vacancies, conflicts of interest, anything like that. So that's what Mass General Law says the law of the town is allowed to write.
and we're not the only one that's done this, so we're not a first of a kind.
I was going to say, this past weekend, I read over a dozen of these kinds of bylaws. And they covered from Situate to Mount Washington, Massachusetts. I accidentally took one city of Braintree, but that's the way it went, but the rest of them were towns. I took all the parts, all but one of the bylaws that I read, the associate member is appointed. The other one, it's an elected position. So which way you'd wanna go is a fun question. This, as you can see here, is an appointment-based one. Changing it to be elected isn't that hard, it's just some more words we'd have to write. Starting at the top, a majority of the joint members of the planning board, planning and select boards may appoint an associate planning board member who shall be a registered voter of the town in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9. So, planning and select boards together appoint the person. Why? If you look at the way Mass General Law is for planning board, if there were a vacancy, if someone were to resign, you still want a 5-member board, so there is facility in Mass General Law to appoint someone to take that position until the next election. And the body that appoints that member is by Mass General Law, joint members of the Planning and Select Board. So this is the same kind of process as if you were or needed to replace one. The process is not well laid out, it's not well defined because I think there's value in not strictly defining it. More than likely, the planning board would seek people who would be interested in it, make a recommendation, and then at the joint meeting, there would be a vote.
That's the way it was in the past. If somebody vacated the position, the board looked for somebody and make sure they understood that's what, it was a 1 or 2 year seat that was left. And then they recommended that to the select board, and then a joint planning board, select board approved it. And then that person was appointed, if I remember right.
But you can only appoint until the next election. You
Correct.
can't appoint for the remainder of the term.
Yeah, because I got appointed for a 1 or 2 year term because Tim vacated the position. I forget Tim's last name. He was on the fire department, big guy. And I took his position, but it was only for a year or two, and then I had to run for a complete election. But that's, Peter, what you described is exactly what happened. I came to Norm, I don't know if Tommy Dufault was the chairman at the time, and asked to be put on. You guys, I shouldn't say you guys, but the planning board discussed it. I wrote an official letter to Tommy. You guys approved it and then took that to the select board. They ratified it, and then I was appointed to the planning board for the remainder of Tim's term. I think that's the same thing we should do with this. That's my opinion.
That's just what that says.
Term of associate members shall be for 3 years, we'll talk about that in a second, ending on the date of the municipal election. Why did I pick that date as opposed to June 30th, which is the usual appointment end date? Because it aligns with planning board election. So that a new associate member would come on board the same time that the new elected members of the board would come online. Now, is 3 years the right number? That's really up to you to decide. This has had 3 in it, it's had 2. Part of our discussion in the bylaw committee today was how easy is it to get someone to commit to what is effectively a 3-year commitment versus a 2-year commitment? Would you get would you get more, for lack of a better word, applicants if it were only 2 years? I don't know. I'm not in a position to say, and I have no vested interest in anything here, so.
Even a year, that way it's really open.
Yeah, I would, Keith, stay away from a year because, and I'm stealing from what Peter and I talked about, I think this is a good training associate's a good trainer for maybe another planning board member down the road if somebody wants to leave or not run the election. So I'm caught between 2 and 3 years. I don't know which, because I'm with you, Pete. 3 years might be too much to scare somebody off. 2 years probably is maybe a better choice. I think is too less a time to learn.
Okay, I agree with that completely. I think that a 1-year term will serve so little value to the planning board in terms of the knowledge.
Obviously, it can get reappointed every year.
Yes, that's true.
To continue.
But it makes more work, that's the only thing.
I think maybe, and I'll leave this for everybody to think about, but 2 seems like a good number for me, because it won't scare anybody off, but it'll give them 2 years to get warm and fuzzy. I don't know.
But that's just it. It can take 2 years to get warm and fuzzy,
I know.
you know?
But then to Keith's point, he or she could be reappointed for another 2 if so desired, but.
If we're on 5, say, obviously you have to get voted for a full position. For 2 is an odd, even number, so it's like it would offset kind of funny at year 5 or.
Yeah, that's actually what it would offset,
So
so.
you'd have like this weird, you
I
have
don't
to
know.
rescind yourself as a associate and run, or I don't know if that's what I'm really getting at.
Well, no,
Just a thought.
yeah, I don't know.
Depending on when you come in, I don't know, you know.
I mean, towards that, I happen to firmly believe that this is a board that needs to have a backfill of people ready to run. Because there's a lot of continuity, there's a lot of information. I think this position sets up that flow. So you tell me what to write there, that's what I'll write there.
I'm tending towards 2, that's me. I don't know.
tend
I can go with 3, but I just,
I tend towards 3.
I'm gonna say 3, because you're only talking 2 years, that's, oh, come on, brain.
24 meetings.
48,
48, that's right, 24 a year, 48, yeah.
and that's not a heck of a lot when you get done, unless you start piling these things up.
I'm even just thinking, how many special permits do we issue a year?
More now than what we
Yeah,
used to.
definitely, yeah.
ever done before.
Correct, and I think it might get even more as years progress.
I was first on the board, we didn't even do special
That's
permits.
right.
Was no such thing.
Keith, what do you think, 2, 3?
2, I guess, I don't know.
Kevin, what do you
Just to leave
think?
it open.
I don't really have an opinion.
Okay. I mean, I can fall till 3, I'm not hard at 2, I just was trying to, my problem is I keep thinking I can't keep an engineer in a position for 3 years. How the hell am I gonna keep somebody on this board for 3 years? And we're paying them to be there then.
Our normal is 5 years, so
Yeah.
it's roughly
I know.
better than half.
It's not cast in stone yet, so
All right, well,
everybody still has time to think about it.
Moving on, the associate member vacancy should be filled for the unexpired terms in the same manner as the original appointments. That's basically motherhood and apple pie.
I like that.
Here we go, here's the meat of what it is. The planning board chair may designate the associate member to sit on the board for the purposes of acting on special permit applications when fewer than 5, now I'm gonna have to rewrite that a little bit, than 5 planning board members are sitting. I think I'm gonna reword that to take the number 5 out, just say the full planning, so when the full planning board is not sitting, something like that.
Yeah,
That, by law, is this position's purpose.
Is there a time frame at which, say there's a situation that comes up for a special permit?
Mhm.
And a planning board member is not available? That can happen within sometimes hours.
Right? No, it's at the hearing, before the hearing opens, I believe. The chair would, but I mean literally just before the action of the chair, just before opening the hearing would be to designate the associate to sit for this hearing.
Correct.
That's the way I would imagine it works.
and honestly, I would hope the associate would come to all the planning board meetings, that would be my hope.
I have a kicker in there to help that, I think.
Okay.
I think.
If there was a missed meeting, then that, I mean, there's,
2 missed meetings, game's over. So, all right, shut up and let you keep going.
Okay, so that situation we're talking about, if a hearing is already commenced for a special permit, when the associate is appointed and seated, how does he deal with that? And the answer is that we have a mechanism that says that the associate member may not sit on hearings for special permit applications open at time of appointment and seating, unless that associate member avows to have reviewed previous session minutes or recordings. So this is that Mullins rule. It's actually writ a little larger than the Mullins rule, because the Mullins rule is a single meeting hearing, and this is written to allow more than that. So I don't know what council's gonna say when they see that.
Yeah, well, they say the Mullins rule overrides that, and then you've gotta use the Mullins, I don't know, that's what they get paid to tell us.
Yeah, but they would tell, when this goes through legal review, that'll be a question for them
Yeah.
to settle. But the intent here is that if the associate member wasn't seated before the hearing started, that he's allowed to continue to sit from then on.
Okay, good.
I got a hunch town council was gonna nix that.
Probably wouldn't surprise me, or modify it.
Yeah.
Might be, they might limit it to one, I don't know.
Okay, good.
And here's the kicker that I think is what may add value to an associate member, because if all he does, we've said this before, since it's not for special permit applications, what about everything else the planning board does? Associate members may have voice but no vote on other matters before the planning board.
Good learning experience.
They get to experience, you guys gonna work on bylaws, no reason the associate member can't sit on and be part of the discussion.
That's no different than the bylaw subcommittee, there everybody gets a vote, but, or gets a discussion, but the planning board actually has the final say on what comes before them. So I like that, I do like that, it gets them involved.
So it's bylaws, it's all the permits, it's everything, so again, it turns into a training ground for a future.
Did you use the word secession plan?
I have no idea what you mean. So we're about to go in a section that is controversial. I have written 2 different sections. You folks have to pick one. Let me find the cursor. Where is my cursor? Here we go. It's either associate members shall serve without compensation, or associate members shall receive the same compensation as elected planning board members. There are benefits and problems with each of these paths. Again, I don't care. You guys tell me which one to keep and I keep it. They're not full planning board members, so maybe they shouldn't get compensation. On the other hand, they are associated with the planning board and they are doing planning board duties, so maybe they should get compensation. Further, just to make it slightly more complicated, the budget for this year does not have money allocated to pay an associate member. Only the budget for the 5 of you to get your stipends was approved.
We have a way to fix that.
There are, it's not that hard to get an amendment at November town meeting to allocate funds for this, if that's the way you think it should go.
The other side of this is, and it doesn't really make any difference, at least not to me, but if he is compensated, he'll be probably the only appointed official that is
And that's a problem that I
in
had
the
too.
town.
I have to disagree, because I think you should say she also.
Yes, well,
The applicant, that gets you out of trouble real
Yeah,
quick.
No. Okay.
Peter, I have a question if I may.
Yes.
On the research you did in the other towns and or cities, how many members were on those planning boards?
A number of them were 5, I've seen 7 and 9.
So even some 9-member boards still had associate members?
Yes, they had, in fact, the number of members the number of associate members is dependent upon the size of the board. If you are 5 or, I don't remember 7. 9 is definitely 2 associates, 5 is definitely 1 associate, and I don't remember if you were a 7-member board, if it would be 1 or 2. I just don't remember the wording. It's in 48 section 9.
And of those, did you notice how many of those towns and or cities were elected officials versus appointed
There was
planning
only,
board members?
there was only, well,
The actual members themselves, not every city has
you're right,
elected.
and I did not look that closely at the
I
planning
would
board
be
as well.
curious in that. Because I think that goes to the compensation of the payment. I personally don't believe that the associate member should be compensated, but I don't believe that any member of the planning board should be compensated. I believe that the monies should be put back into the town, and that's why I've never accepted it. So if it's needed, the associate member, if we vote on compensation, he can take, or she can take my compensation.
Yeah, I'm
That's how
struggling.
I feel about that.
I'm struggling with the appointed thing. Setting a precedent in the town would not make me feel warm and fuzzy for other people that have been appointed to positions. Again,
There's no other alternate members on any elected board currently.
Not on any elected boards,
That's why
no.
we're
Elected
working on
boards,
this.
no.
ZBA has, but they're appointed.
Right, ZB is appointed, AgCom is appointed, COA is appointed, and they all have alternate members. And it is an interesting word choice, I don't know what brought this up, what made this become an associate member. I don't know why associate was written in the law, but in MGL, as opposed to alternate.
I'm sure there's a legal term reason, but
Well, it's actually interesting as I think about it, because when an alternate member is seated on the other boards, that they have full powers of the board, of any member of the board. They have equal powers when they actually act. And here, it's a limited action.
It's a special permit only. Have we ever had the discussion in regards to increasing the 5-member planning board in the town of Rutland to a 7-member planning board? And
I don't think.
not having an associate member?
I haven't heard that. Well, associate members are to solve a problem when when you have a problem reaching majority due to any number of causes where for some planning board members not sitting. That need doesn't go away with a change in size. Because if you change the size from 5 to 7, then the supermajority size increases also, so you haven't solved anything.
Oh, the supermajority would go to,
2/3 of 7
to be
is
5.
There you go.
Okay. I'm with Kevin on this one. I don't see compensation for the associate. Especially since it's appointed, I'm struggling with that one.
Oh, and if they wanna be on the board, I don't think they do it.
You're not doing it for the money,
They're
trust me.
not doing it for the fantastic stipends everybody gets here.
It's not like Milford where their planning board gets $5,100 per person. And I was amazed when I found that when I was doing my research. It was like
So, I mean-
$5,100.
But if they stay with the committee and doing a good job, the next time there's an opening,
They're a shoo-in, I would think.
I would think so too, yeah.
Yeah, well, on top of that, they would have already been on all of the Zooms. People in the town would know them and know him or her. So I don't know. I like it.
Alrighty. Finally, an associate member may be removed for cause by the planning board upon written charges and after a public hearing.
Standard.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Is there, again, too many times of depositions? What's considered cause? Anything? I guess I'm trying to figure out what cause is. Has that ever been defined? Or is it defined in your new?
It's in the view of the beholder.
Okay.
So it would be whatever the planning board believes is cause.
I'm just slippery sloping, that's the only reason I'm coming up with. Cause I've had this discussion with a select person from Auburn that this was a wicked slippery slope in Auburn. And, it could go really good where it's positive, or it could go bad to clean out boards that, some person wants to control. So, again, two sides, I'm just bringing them both up. That's the reason why I asked what the word cause is.
But the point, without having to define cause, because I've never seen a pure definition of cause.
Yep.
Let alone just cause or the other terms that I've heard for this. Saying they have to do it for cause means you can't just do it on a whim. You can't just do it because you feel like it. You need to justify it and express it in a public hearing.
And I'm not even gonna go any further, cause that's what we have an attorney for, to look this over and see, I just
think
thought
that's
about that.
exactly right.
Shut up, Tim, and let the attorney figure that
Again,
out.
The select board and the planning board appoint them, then I think that the select board and the planning board should be involved in the removal by both, not just the planning board.
There are a couple issues with that. one issue is that public hearings and planning boards are very well regulated by Mass General Law. How much before you must post, how much, there's a lot of process that's defined in MGL for the planning board that is not defined for other boards, especially the select board in this case. Which means that if the select board is involved, then number one, you need to make more clear what the complete process is, as opposed to just saying, planning board does it. Number two, this is a special condition, and in reality, will the select board actually have any information upon which to act? The people who experience it, who experience the issue, are, assuming there is one, are the planning board. And I'm not saying that there is no communication. Of course, there should be communication. I don't even see Leah online right now. But it's easier to schedule one group than two. And I grant that it is an important, that removal hearing is an important thing.
To
So,
Kevin's point.
having said that, I leave it to the board. You tell me what you want here, and that's what I'll make there.
I would just ask the select board what's their opinion. Do they want to be involved in it or not? Let them give us an opinion. I don't want to make a decision for them. I don't know, through the chair, does that make sense? Ask the select board chairman, what does she think? I'd like to give them an opportunity if they think they want to be part of the process, to be part of the process. I know it throws a wrench into the monkey, but I think we should at least give them the courtesy, to Kevin's point, to ask them that. Ask the board that. That's my opinion.
Well, they are brought into the beginning of this thing anyway, so.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but again, I mean, they might say no, but I think we should at least give them the courtesy of asking.
Makes sense.
If anyone doesn't have anything else to say, I guess if they were, say there's the appointed or elected associate, obviously whatever one chooses, then that should be either, like if you get elected, I mean, a lot of other people told you to be there, versus appointed, where you could say, well, it would be weird to remove someone if other people chose them to be there versus an appointment where it's kind of like a job opportunity, or something like that.
Well, I think that's where the cost comes in, and that's why I'd like to have, to Kevin's point, if two boards see the cause because of the communication, then that's a pretty easy way to write that up. If it's one, well, maybe.
Joint agreement.
Yeah, I don't know, because what Kevin said earlier, the two boards are appointing them.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have two boards removing them? I get it might be a pain, but I think we should at least ask the select board that.
So, let's actually go back to appointment for a minute. Okay. A number of the bylaws I've read are only appointed by the planning board. And I just went with the planning and select boards because of the parallelism with replacement of a member. So an option is just planning board does the appointment. And then just planning board would do the removal. An option is planning and select appoint and planning and select remove. Again, it's up to you folks. I'm just saying there are more options than, I'm saying it doesn't have to be exactly as written as I've written and presented it here. This is all for your consideration.
But my research, which I did early on before we even got this far, had seen a lot of the towns have both of those as their choice.
Some of them do, yeah.
Yeah.
Not all, but I guess I'll use the word majority, had select and planning as the appointing authority.
I would say I'd leave it both, because I want the select board to see how it worked for the planning board. They may want to use it for some other committee or something like that.
Could that F be reworded to associate member may be removed for cause, after a public hearing by the planning board. And you get what I mean?
Yeah.
In other words,
Yeah.
just saying, no, the only public hearing would be by the planning board.
Yeah.
So the selectmen don't have to hold a public hearing.
Oh, so that
Well,
gives,
hold on, actually, so let me strip out.
so that gives the ability for the select board or any person from the select board to be at that public hearing to have their opinion
Mhm.
heard. I like that, cause that gives everybody an opportunity, just not the select board and the planning board to remove somebody, it gives the town.
Mhm.
So that goes to what you were saying, Keith, it's people that can step in and say, no, I think this individual's doing a good job, I don't care if they disagree with the board or not.
Okay.
I sort of like that.
By vote of the planning and select board, right?
So that's the next question, so move for cause, hold on. Whoa, how did you go there? So you want it both, that's okay, by majority vote of a,
Is it a major majority? Or just majority?
just majority, unless somebody says otherwise.
It's a pretty substantial thing to be removing somebody, you know, I mean, this is all about people not showing up, and then if 3 people are there, they can make a decision with the other 2 people not being there to remove, you know.
That's always possible, because a supermajority is still a supermajority of those voting, it's not a supermajority of all members, unless it's specifically written that way.
So if you have 5 members of a planning board, then to say a majority is only 3 members can vote that associate member off.
Hold on.
You know what I mean?
How the hell do we raise this up above? No, I can't see my cursor.
It's pretty substantial to remove somebody from something, so therefore I think there should be a major majority of, you know, both boards. Not just
The
the
joint
majority.
members of the, all right, so.
Joint body.
No, don't need to say joint bodies, a majority of the joint members of.
Okay.
By majority, so what do you would say? For cause by majority vote of. It's the, not A. The. And select boards upon written charges and after public hearing by the planning board. So I think that hit what you were going for, Norm.
Yep.
So what does the spotty think about majority versus supermajority vote? And just to make it more complicated, remember that if you have 2 fully seated boards, you're each 5 members. Which means that you carry the same weight. If all of the planning board votes for removal and all the select board votes for no removal, there is no removal.
Man, oh man. That's why I use the word slippery slope for all of these removal stuff. Well, the majority vote of the 2 boards would be 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm okay with majority vote, cause 6 out of 10, that means 60% of the people voting there believe that there's a problem. I don't need 80, which is what we'll be asking for if we do supermajority. But again,
Well,
this is a
two-thirds-
removal.
2/3 is one more person.
Well, it also depends on if there's 4 members at the hearing, then you would need 3 members to vote. So it's
Yeah.
not always that percentage, depends on how many people are voting that day. You don't need all 5 members.
Well, you got it. This is where I gotta ask a question. If there's 5 members on a board, you have to have at least 3 to do a vote, correct?
No.
You don't, okay.
Well, wait a second. To hold a vote at all, you do need quorum of
That's
each,
what I meant.
of each body.
Which means 3 of the,
Because without that, you don't have a meeting. If you don't have
Yeah,
a meeting, you can't
yeah,
have a vote.
so it's gotta be 6 people no matter what
Mhm.
to have this discussion. Okay. And a majority vote out of, if there was worst case scenario, would be 4 of the 6.
Yep.
Okay,
And that is 2/3.
yeah. And if all 10 were there, a majority would be
It'd be 6.
6 out of 10. I'm still okay with that. I am. That's me.
Okay.
Not that I. So, for example, if it's a public hearing by the planning board to discuss
Mhm.
moving forward to vote,
Correct.
which is another meeting, doesn't happen just then because you've gotta then get both
It
boards
would
in the
happen
room.
then, it could be arranged to happen
Yes,
at virtually the same, I mean, because it could be that the planning board it could be that it's a joint meeting that has both the hearing and the decision, if you felt it were sufficiently timely, or needed to be sufficiently timely.
Right.
So there are ways to make it happen faster than hold a hearing, talk about it, move it forward, joint meeting for a final vote. There are processes around all this.
Yeah, my opinion, Keith, is I would like to have and again, this is me, if I was in this situation, I'd like to have a public hearing with both boards there, so you get everybody's opinion at once.
yeah,
And
I guess my question was just, it just says planning, so I don't know if that's because select board can't hold that meeting, planning hold, obviously it's about you, this board, not their board.
We would
They're
need to
different rules.
specify the rules and the processes
Okay,
for the hearing if we include the select board, because they don't have rules in law.
okay.
So you'd have to come up with subsections for that?
Yes. We'd have to describe the process. Where,
I-
in fact, if you want some fun, read the removal process from appointed boards in the proposed bylaws. Tells you everything that needs to happen, because that's what needs to be specified.
Is that section a cut and paste into here, or is it parts and pieces, or you tell?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'd have to think about it.
yeah, I'm not looking.
It could
for
be
this.
cut and paste probably, but I can't swear to that today.
I like what Keith was suggesting about go with this and then put the processes below it for the select board as part of their meeting.
Okay.
I think it's, how do I say this? I think it's fair that we should include them because they're part of the appointing. But again, we need to ask them, maybe they say no to this whole thing. They don't wanna be part of the process, but I think we should at least ask them. Oh, Leah's back.
Yep.
I know she can't make a decision, she gotta take it before her board, but
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want her to express
yeah.
anything here, just
Just
for fear of.
I want her to
polluting
know
the
about what we're gonna ask. Through the chair, do we need to send a letter or have Tamika email Leah as the chairman and let her know about what we're doing and including them, just to keep the communication open and,
If I may, Peter, couldn't you just bring it up at tomorrow night's bylaw meeting?
Just remind me.
okay, thanks. I just wanna make sure that we're all talking.
Yeah.
That's it. I hate surprises. I got enough of those in my place.
Did I mention it in one of the previous ones that we're going to have zoning changes? I know I've said it to individuals, I just don't remember if I've said it in a select board meeting. Okay.
All right. Is there a G?
No, that's it.
That's it.
All right. I think it's short and sweet.
I guess it says associate members versus associate member, just for pluralization.
I've been back and forth on this. I understand exactly what you're saying. I've seen that too, and I've noticed that I've written, because today you're a 5-member board, you can only have one. If we're not, if we write this well enough, it can extend to 1 or 2. And the "and" part would only be the appointment and the removal, because you want to appoint a member, you want to remove a member. And you just apply that multiple times to each of the members, but all the other things. So, I mean, like D should actually probably say, I'm not sure how to rewrite D in the plural case.
Okay.
So yeah, there's some language cleanup that absolutely can be done, you're right.
Yeah. Just wasn't sure if we stayed now.
I'm okay with this as long as if it comes up tomorrow night in the select board, just to let them know and see what I mean, this could all get poo-pooed and they might say they don't want anything to do with it. Then it's just in the planning board, but, let's find out.
Have we ever looked at this before, or is this the first time?
It's time.
First time, yeah.
I mean, if I may say, through the chair, I look at this and it seems as though Peter's done a lot of work on this, right? The board's done a lot of work on this.
Peter's done a lot of work.
Peter's done a lot of work.
Yeah.
Peter's put a lot of time into this. And this is all based on a lot of our board's meetings, I'm assuming, over the last year that have been under-attended. Is that a fair statement? This has been brought to the attention of the board because we've had a lack of attendance over the last year plus in our existing board.
Somewhat, I would have to say this is not the first time that sort of thing has happened.
Right, understandable, but me as a member, have made valiant efforts to have dialogue and conversations with this board in regards to my lack of attendance. And if the amount of effort that was put into this was put into my emails and my phone calls and my conversations with the chairman and the vice chairman and all the other members of this board, that would have been nice, because nobody has put this amount of effort at all into my issues and for the reasons that I don't come to these meetings. So now you're looking to incorporate an associate member to fill a void that could have been avoided by replying to my requests. You and I have had multiple meetings, Mr. Chairman, in regards to the reasons why I don't come to these meetings. We've had 2 of them, and you told me very specifically that you would bring these and my concerns to the rest of the board, and there would be follow-up conversations, and there never has been. So I just want the public to know, and the rest of these board members to know, did a lot of work here, Peter, and it's great, and I agree with all of this. I just wish that the amount of effort that was put into this was put into my personal situation as a member of the planning board by the chairman, the vice chairman, and the other members of this board.
So do we vote on this to move it on, or just?
I don't think it's voting, this is the first presentation to you, I think we have notes. I can clean up the language and send, and then, again,
To select
after
board?
discussion with the select board to at least have an idea what they're thinking about it.
All right,
And incorporate that, and then I can send the text onto the planning board through the chair, and then you folks can collectively do whatever your process is for bylaws. Because this is a zoning bylaw. As I've said many, many times, ad hoc bylaw committee is not trying to assert any control, anything over zoning. We're general bylaws, but we're doing this to help you folks out
Right.
so that you will also help us out in the kennel changes that we will review some other evening.
Okay.
Of course, this is all removal is only an associate member.
Right.
No other. member.
Correct.
Yeah.
There is no facility today to remove an elected official in this town, period. And that would take a special act of the legislature. So it ain't coming anytime soon.
I don't have any. Okay. Let's work through the select board, see what they say.
Okay, good. Thank you, Peter.
You're very welcome.
Onward.
Onward. Please,
Rich,
and go
and
home.
If the select board's got questions tomorrow night, Tamika, can you filter that back through the chair? Thanks. I wanna make sure that it gets filtered through the chair and then the rest of the board members, if anything else comes up, cause I don't always watch all the meetings. Yeah, I know,
We do so much work to make them so
yeah, thank you,
presentable
I
and
appreciate
entertaining.
it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I don't think we got anything else, cause there's other
Bryce
reports.
Lemon, we have no reports. Rutland Estates, we have no reports.
I can tell you the road is nice, I've driven it a couple times
On,
on, Brintnal Estates.
oh, yeah, yeah.
I just, really wanna see those columns when you come across the bridge disappear.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Those are scary as hell.
Tight drive.
Anyhow, okay.
It does look like a nice bridge and then snaking road.
This gentleman here got any comments he wants to
I
make?
was gonna say,
I'm just interested in the politics and trying to help the town eventually, so I try to come to meetings when I can.
Help
Excellent,
the town.
that's nice, there you go.
good.
Here, wanna make it better.
That might be our alternate member.
Yeah, I just was thinking, we got an alternate member, Mount
Who
McCary.
are you?
Matt Shaughnessy, I live in Pleasantdale Road.
Way out on Pleasantdale.
Yeah, south side. South side of Rutland.
I know where it is. Are you in the Chicopee watershed area?
No.
You better check that.
I'll make a, motion to,
Well, I just was hoping that any other business before the board,
I'm sorry.
without 40, if I may, through the chair, I just wanted to make a comment.
If it
And I
goes
wanted to,
Boy Scout camp?
Mr. Williams is done, I'd like to have the floor. Can I have the floor?
I learned something today. Okay, so,
Yeah,
all right,
go ahead.
and.
Glad's got a comment.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I just wanted to bring awareness to a situation this past Thursday, which was the most recent of many other situations where I found myself, fighting for my business and my livelihood. And I found that there was a special meeting put forth on Thursday in regards to my company. And before that meeting, I was told, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you made an effort to get a quorum here in regards to contacting Keith,
Yeah.
and you called him.
No.
You told the town administrator that you called him. Town administrator told me. No?
In fact, I have never called Keith.
No.
Okay, Austin's not here tonight, but he told me very specifically that you told him that you did. And I'm calling attention to that as a lie, and Austin's not here to back that up, but I checked with Keith and he said you absolutely didn't. And I believe that night you were sick, you weren't here, and it was purposely done so that we would not have a quorum. And I'm just calling attention to that you lied to the town administrator. And you've lied multiple times before. And I think that the town needs
What did I
to.
lie?
You told the town administrator that you called Keith to try to get him here for that night.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I'm sure I did
And
not.
that will be up to Mr.
Guaranteed I did not.
Well, then Austin's gonna have to answer to that. You can bring that up with him, because he told me that very specifically, and Keith verified.
I don't like being called a liar.
Okay, well, then you're gonna have to bring that up with our town
I
administrator.
gotta ask,
If you're a
what,
liar, then you're a liar.
I'm just calling attention to what the town administrator told me, Mr. Chairman.
Before,
That was my only comment that I wanted to make
I'm
tonight.
struggling of what the intent was Thursday's meeting.
I don't know.
I still don't know what the intent was
I
from that
believe it
meeting.
was called for by you guys. There was a complaint put in.
No, the town administrator asked for an emergency meeting, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't the planning board.
Right.
So, and I was trying to figure out what they were asking for, a
You got
vote
me.
or something. Okay, I never found out in that meeting why we
Well,
were
we
there.
couldn't because we didn't have a quorum, because we weren't, you know what I mean?
Well, they didn't define what the meeting was about.
It's not my problem.
Well, it's not mine either, because if
Why
I'm
are
not
you
calling the
bringing
meeting.
this up? I'm talking about him lying to the town administrator. I'm not talking about the purpose of the meeting.
Why was,
Tim, why, I mean,
I'm curious of why the town, why the.
why are
planning
you
board-
asking me these questions?
I'm not, I'm just asking
So
why.
what were you asking? I'm calling attention to the fact that our chairman lied to our town administrator, point blank. And I believe that he needs to answer for that. Has nothing to do with what the meeting was about, in my humble opinion.
If there was a
Would you let the chairman speak? He's the chairman here, and I had the floor, and you've interrupted me multiple times, and I would like the chairman to call this meeting to order. If I have the floor, I have the floor. If I don't, I don't. If you have the floor, you have the floor, sir. I'm just calling attention to the fact that you lied, and our town administrator told me that he lied. I just want everybody to know that.
And then you walk out before I can even ask a question.
Okay.
Hang out for.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, hang out. for a little bit.
Well, the reason I'm trying to find out why this whole meeting was called, what was the purpose? Why did the planning board even need to show up to this meeting?
Why are you asking me?
Well, 'cause.
You've been talking to the town administrator, obviously, so you guys had your little
You want
meetings
me to
outside.
answer for the town administrator?
This pertained to the event that was happening, was I not mistaken? It pertained to
A
a
complaint.
bylaw from a site plan that wasn't being followed.
Says who?
You said on camera that you're not gonna follow anything in that bylaw, and we'll take care of it on Monday. We can pull the video up and see that.
Okay, pull it up.
Peter!
Well, I know there's
All
like
right.
a zoning enforcement officer.
Yeah.
Mail I got or something.
Mm-hmm.
So is that?
David
just
McCray.
your-
We've already been in contact with him.
Okay, you know what, that's his responsibility, not mine.
Correct, Tim, it is his responsibility, it's not yours, so why are you making it your responsibility?
I'm making it my responsibility because the site plan says that that event at that facility only goes till 10 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken.
Says
Anything
who?
says that that approved site plan review.
You sure about that?
I pretty much had Dave George's folder that had this signature on it when it was
Pretty much
approved.
had Dave George's, okay, so you're 100% positive that I was in violation? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
No, I'm asking, as long as everybody, no, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm saying if that event passed those times, then there was a violation.
Why is that?
Because there are specific hours associated with that site plan review.
On primary principal hours?
No on event hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, if you are mistaken, I'd like to see that, Mr. Narwhal.
I can have it.
If you can't back up what you say, then don't say it, sir.
I had it in my hand, I gave it to the select board. They're the ones that was arguing about this situation. So the site plan doesn't have specific hours for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Am I correct in that?
In primary principal hours, yes, in the principal business hours.
Correct.
For 20 events per year, approved by you.
Yes. And so did any of those events go over did those events go over that hours?
I'm gonna let you figure this one out, sir, because you really don't seem to understand what you're talking about.
No, I guess I don't understand.
Before you speak, you really should have the site plans in front of you.
I did
And
when we were in a
understand.
meeting with the select board, and they didn't seem to want to talk about it, so
Well,
that's
you
not
bring
my
that up with
problem.
the select board, Mr. Narwhal.
You know what? I'll just leave this go and let Dave McCray handle it, and then
Okay.
he can take care of it from.
I'd like to
wait.
make a motion, we adjourn.
No, because I wanted to bring something up. I thought this was due to the marijuana facility that Mr. Blair's building down there. I thought the arborvitaes were supposed to stay put originally, but I did see, because Tamika sent thing around, I read,
It's supposed to be taken down, and he has taken down some of them.
I thought he took them all down.
No,
No?
no. And I don't recall whether it was directed that they all be taken down.
For some reason or other, I thought that we were thinking of leaving some of them, leaving up to block it off more or less.
Can't remember.
Screening or.
Screening.
It's in the orders of conditions, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it does say in there, yeah, that it, but I could have sworn I wanted them left up, but it was, they may be taken down. So anyways, I just,
Are they there?
I recall in that meeting,
Are they there or they've been cut? Or-
they've been cut.
my recollection, I remember in that meeting that when that traffic study was done, which was brought up earlier, that they recommended that they get removed.
I didn't know there was a traffic
There
study.
was a traffic study, you mentioned it tonight at the meeting, the traffic study that was done based on that it was recommended by the traffic study that the arborvitae's be removed.
Yeah, I think Kevin's right, cause it was site
I
location.
don't think I ever pay attention, but I
See
do.
the building at night or something maybe.
Yeah,
I was thinking more because of the people also had to line up outside and things like that, and I always felt that, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Well, the front door is not, I've never seen it, but is the front door facing the road or it's?
It was in the, I thought it was in the back,
As long as
and then
you-
you had to come in and around and in or something like that. It was set
Probably
up,
better not be facing the road, yes, but
anyways.
something to look
that's-
at or.
It was just my opinion, and I can't. Always figured there were trucks and trailer trucks and cars and everything else going in and out of that thing all the time, and I kinda thought that maybe the marijuana thing should be not out in the open like that, but that's, it is what it is, okay? Now Kevin, go,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
second.
Discussion? In favor?
aye.
Aye.